What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show. The Blazers, in their final game before the All-Star break, continue their winning ways. They beat the Memphis Grizzlies tonight, 123-119 in Memphis. The Blazers, led by Jusuf Nurkic, who almost has a career high in points. He has 32 on the night. Anfernee Simons right behind him with 31 points, including a Dame-esque clutch dagger three-pointer to put the Blazers up 5 with 44 seconds. A little left to right sidestep that, looked just like Dame. We'll talk about his game. We'll talk about Josh Hart, who had a good game tonight as well. And we're going to break things down. Eric will have a breakdown. This is going to be an enjoyable stream, as it is our last post-game stream before the All-Star break. And what a way to head into the break. The Blazers have been impressive since the trade deadline. 4 in a row. Eric, what's going on, man? What are your thoughts on this game?
My thoughts are we're going to see Dame playing in a week or so.
I wouldn't count on that, but what are your actual thoughts on this game?
Dude, I don't know if I want to admit this, but I'm starting to believe, Tori.
Believe what?
That this team could actually be good.
Define good.
Like, possibly make some noise this year.
In the playoffs? Without Dame?
I mean, that's assuming Dame comes back.
I mean, I wouldn't count on Dame coming back for the rest of the season. But yeah, anyway. What are your thoughts on this game?
I mean, they played awesome. They played great. I mean, of course, Ja got to the free throw line a ton. Obviously, it's really hard to keep off the free throw line. He's trying to draw fouls on almost all of his drives. And I thought for the most part we played pretty good defense, and our offense was moving the ball once again, just hitting the open shots. Like there was very, very few plays where there wasn't at least someone moving off ball or passes being made, stuff like that. And the possessions that were like that were like the ones where Ant hits the sidestep three you mentioned, where it was basically a designed ISO for him. So, man, yeah, it's crazy how well they're playing right now. And the cohesion on the court with all these new guys is also pretty crazy. It'll be interesting to see when teams start to get film on them, but it's not like they're beating like the Thunder or whatever right now. They're beating some pretty good teams. I know the Bucks didn't have Giannis, but they're still a pretty good team without Giannis. And the Grizzlies had almost all their guys outside of Brooks tonight. So, yeah, it's just they're playing really well, and they're playing the way we've always wanted them to play. And we felt like they could have been good. The last year's team, 2 years ago's team, the team that made the Western Conference Finals, all those teams, if we played like this, I just feel like we would have given ourselves a much better shot in the playoffs to actually do something legitly. And so now that we're playing this way, I'm starting to get excited that they're doing all the things that you and I have been screaming for them to do for years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying the style of play right now. I'm enjoying the effort level. I'm enjoying the way in which they're playing the game. It's much better to watch than the team that we saw at the start of this year, and it's why they are winning games. I mean, on paper, they don't match up with the Memphis Grizzlies. The Memphis Grizzlies have more talent, but the Blazers, so that's what we've always said. When you play the right way, you give yourselves a chance. The Blazers defensively didn't have a good game today. They gave up 119 points. A big part of that was the whistle, though, which maybe didn't go Portland's way in this one. There's Memphis Grizzlies fans complaining about the refs in this one, but the Memphis Grizzlies ended up shooting 42 free throws. 25 of those free throw attempts were from Ja Morant, who had 44 points and 11 assists. Almost half of his 44 points came off free throws. Ja Morant, 21 for 25. So how much of that is just them getting to the line a lot, maybe a quick whistle? How much of that is Portland's defense? I don't know, but the Blazers got this win on the offensive end, dropping 123 points, and you just look down the box score, and Jusuf Nurkic, 12 for 17 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. Anfernee Simons, 11 for 18 from the field. Josh Hart, 7 for 12 from the field. That's the Blazers' 3 best players right now, and once again, their 3 best players have insanely efficient nights. They were 30 for 47 combined from the field. 30 for 47. Josh Hart, Jusuf Nurkic, and Anfernee Simons. That's 64%. From 3, they were 9 for 18. That's 50%.
Hey, good math.
Yeah.
That was an easy one.
What'd you say?
It was an easy one.
Yeah. Because, all of them were 50%. Yusuf Nurkic, 1 for 2 from 3. Josh Hart, 3 for 6. Anfernee Simons, 5 for 10. So, the Blazers got this win on the backs of having their 3 best players have efficient nights. Justice Winslow, Eric, 2 for 3 from 3. And 4 for 5 from the free throw line. Ben McLemore was 6 for 10 from the field, including 2 for 5 from 3, 40%. The Blazers, for the game, shoot 40% from the three-point line, 50% from the field. So they get this win. It's a close win, but they get this win off of phenomenal shooting numbers. And you look at CJ Ellaby and Elijah Hughes, combined 0 for 10, 0 for 6 from 3, and Greg Brown's 1 for 4. But the Blazers' main guys that actually have a chance at maybe being rotation players next season outside of maybe Ben McLemore, they just knock down shots at a high level. They got some quality shots because of the way they move the ball, but they shot the lights out tonight.
Yeah, and that's, you mentioned there at the end, I feel like they're getting really good quality shots. Now, Josh Hart had to force a few, and had to force a few, and he's, man, when he pulls up off the 10, 15 footer and he elevates so high on his jump before he releases the ball, man, I don't know how you stop that if you're a defense. Ant could get that all day. If he starts hitting those down with any sort of efficiency, man, he's going to be unstoppable. And then you also saw him get to the rim and avoid Jaren Jackson for a nice finish. Just the evolution in his game. And he missed some wide open threes too, which is crazy. So it kind of balances out. You could say, man, he hit some tough ones, but he also missed some wide open ones. So, obviously they're not going to shoot this hot every game, but I don't think the quality of looks are necessarily unsustainable because I feel like the offense is really flowing right now.
Yeah, let's just be honest, the shooting is not sustainable. They've sustained it for a few games in a row, and I wonder how long it lasts. I wonder if it lasts after the All-Star break. But when you look at Josh Hart, Nurkic, and Winslow going a combined 6 for 11 from 3, you're talking about a career 33% three-point shooter, 34.6% three-point shooter for his career in Josh Hart, and then sub 30% guys in Justice Winslow and Yusuf Nurkic, and so they're all below average three-point shooters for their career, and they're 6 for 11. Sure. Memphis did not count on that, especially Justice Winslow, who they're familiar with. He played a little bit there in Memphis, 2 years ago? I was watching the Grizzlies broadcast, and they were just groaning, Justice Winslow's hitting threes on us. So, it's insanely hot shooting night from the Blazers tonight. It's fun when shots go in. Go ahead.
Part of the thing though is they had Memphis flustered with how fast they were getting up the court, and that was leading to wide open shots. And that's another thing we've been begging for this team to do, right? Get the ball and push up the court. And they had lineups where basically anyone could do that. They had lineups where basically anyone could do it. And Josh Hart, man, that guy gets up and down the court really quick. And if you're not careful, he's just going to go right to the hoop and lay it in. And Winslow is doing the same thing. A lot of those good quality looks were generated off of them just completely pushing the tempo. And teams aren't used to the Blazers doing that. So in the future, teams might adapt to that. But it's such a weapon to have when you have multiple players that can handle the ball and you trust them to set up plays. Man, we had with less than 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, we had 2 timeouts in a row with possessions for us. One of them will be in Brant's breakdown, but we had 2 plays in a row where CJ Ellaby brought the ball up the court and set up the offense, and we had some nice action off ball because of it. So just having players that you trust, or not necessarily trust, but that Chauncey is like enabling and like letting them contribute in those moments, I think is really huge to the development of this team. And I feel like, I mean, you said they gave up 119 points and stuff, but like this was a really, really fast-paced game. Like it was back and forth, especially in the first half, and the tempo was just crazy. And I like it. It's kind of chaotic, and you have players that fly around and have heart and play defense and stuff, and it's kind of a recipe for playing well. Now we'll see if a little bit of that is teams kind of skate into the All-Star break a lot of times. So we'll see how much of that is the case after the All-Star break. But right now, I mean, you can win a lot of games playing this way. And unfortunately for those that don't want us to win games, it's probably not going to happen. Or we're probably going to win too many games playing this way, but it is very fun.
Yeah, let me think some donos. Most Welsh $5 dono says, bring back Terry until the season over. Need to tank some way. This team would not be playing this way under Terry's thoughts. I can guarantee you that. Thank you, Mills Welsh, for the $5 dono. Shout out to Andrew Hartwell, member for 9 months. Says, go Blazers. Thank you, Andrew, for your member message. Shout out Hyper Prime, $5 dono. Says, Ant, he's the next him. Ant is just like Dame. That step back, man. I mean, look at Ant, man. So inspirational. Thank you, Hyper Prime, for the $5 dono. Yeah, that sidestep was very Dame-ish, and we haven't really seen Anfernee hit that left to right sidestep like as well as he did. Like, that was the best left to right sidestep 3 I've ever seen him shoot. Because the separation he got, the rhythm of it, and then knocking it down with a hand in his face in a clutch moment, that was as close to Dame as you can possibly get without being Dame. So
right.
You can see, and it's funny because when we drafted Simons, I said it'll be nice for Dame to be able to mentor a guard that like has like ball skills and, you know, a little bit of bounce to him, a little bit of shiftiness. And it's cool to finally see some of Dame's game come out with Anfernee Simons, and he's looking like a star right now. And
I don't know how in that situation he gets that clean of a look. I mean, that side step was awesome, but like you would think, because he still doesn't have the highest release point, right? So you would think it would get blocked a lot, but like, I don't know. He got it. It was completely square, and it was like effortless, like Dame's. It was exactly like Dame, and that's what makes Dame so special. Is he does that, and it just seems like it's like the shot he wanted to get, and he's practiced a million times, right? And then you see Ant doing it, and it just looks flawless. Like there's like nothing wrong with his form off a sidestep. It's crazy, and I love that evolution of his game.
Yep. Double E, that's a terrible trade. Anyway, thank you, Hyper Prime, for that $5 dono, and then
becoming a starter.
And then thank you, Hyper Prime, for becoming You're fine. I was just gonna read it off. Yeah, thank you to Hyper Prime for becoming a starter level member. Shout out to Ol Jakob Hauge. 20 Norwegian Crony Dono. He says, I'm so conflicted. Help me out here, guys. Yeah, a lot of people are conflicted. Thank you, Jakob, for the 20 Norwegian Crony Dono. Shout out Chris S. $2 dono says Blazers going to win a chip starting Ellaby and Winslow.
Well, while we're on the subject of Chris S., but you can say.
I was going to read it. I was going to read it a little bit later. I know. Okay. Yeah.
That was the same Chris S. So.
Yeah, I was just going to read it a little bit later.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris S., for the $2 dono. Shout out to Fly Guy 69 with a $10 dono. Says, I was in the dumps after Clippers trade. I know the master plan, but this is healing the pain. Go Blazers. I'm glad your pain is being healed. Fly Guy, thank you for the $10 dono. Shout out Caleb Pendergraph, $2 dono. Says, refs made this game nearly unwatchable. Yeah, that game lasted forever because of all the foul calls in that game. There was a total of 74 free throws shot. So if you like free throws, this was the game for you. And John Morant, I think, liked shooting 25 free throws today. Thank you, Caleb Pendergraph, for the $2 dono. Shout out to Hyperprime 4-month member message. He just became a member, but he has a 4-month member message. So I don't know how that works, but 4 months strong with the flex emoji. Thank you, Hyperprime, for that. And then Kun Marcelo, 250. I don't know that currency, Eric.
I can't see it. It hasn't shown up on my feed yet.
Kuhn Marcelo with 250 of something. So thank you.
That's pesos.
250 peso dono. All right, thank you for that. He says, I know we should tank, but I like that we are building a good brand of ball. We may not get a top 3 pick with this route, but maybe a star free agent will want to come play with us because of the brand of ball we have. Thank you for that dono. We're not getting a top 3 pick. We are not getting a top 3 pick.
Unless we get lucky and move up.
We're not going to get a top 3 pick when we have like a 5% chance of getting a top 3 pick. It's not. We're not. After this game, I have what's the word? I've accepted the fate that we are not getting a top 3 pick. All right? This team is not going to let us get a top 3 pick. Because you look at the schedule later on in the season, in 10 games, we play one of 4 teams for 10 games in a row. And those 4 teams are the Pelicans, the Spurs, the Thunder, and the Rockets. If we're sitting here beating Memphis on the road, we're beating Milwaukee on the road. I know they didn't have Giannis, but that's still a solid team. I don't see how we're going to get good enough odds to get a top 3 pick. At this point, I have accepted that that's not going to happen because I've been rooting for this team to tank because I really wanted a top 3 pick, and they keep on winning. So at this point, I just got to resign myself to the fact that we are not going to get a top 3 pick.
I mean, Tori, how nice would it be if you are rewarded with the top 3 pick by us moving up from like the 11th spot anyway?
See, I feel like people are just setting themselves up for disappointment with that.
Well, I know, but that would be a nice universal like exchange for you, right?
I mean, and if we like won the first play-in, or we got the 14th best odds and won the first play-in, then almost won the second play-in, and like Anfernee Simons got some big game star experience being the guy, and then we moved up from 14 to the number 1 overall pick. Yeah, that'd be phenomenal. Getting a top 3 pick right now is so extremely unlikely. I am not going to even think about it anymore, because when I think about it, it's like, okay, we got to make our odds better so that we can get it. And then when I think about it that way, and then we win games like this, it's like, what about that top 3 pick though?
Wouldn't you be more disappointed if we did tank? We had to suffer through losing all these games, and then we didn't move up anyway,
but I mean, we'd have the 6th pick instead of like the 13th pick or something.
Well,
so
what if two people move ahead of us and we?
I mean, I don't know. These are all random hypotheticals. We're just not getting a top 3 pick.
We also have the Pelicans pick too, which could be in that 6 to 8 range too. So. Yeah,
that's the thing though. Is the higher they move up, the more likely we don't get that pick. So it could be good where like, okay, if they're that's the thing. It's a double-edged. I don't know what the phrase is, but like if they have the 6 best lottery odds, it's like, okay, if they don't move into the top 4, that's the best case scenario. But it's also much more likely that they move into the top 4 and we don't get the pick at all. So I don't know if I want the Pelicans to have the 6 best lottery odds or if I want them to have like the 11th best, because it's like I'd rather just take the 11th pick than them having almost a 50-50 chance of moving into the top 4 and us not getting their pick at all, or it being like 5 or 6. You know what I mean? That's what I'm struggling with right now in regards to the Pelicans. And that's the thing. The better we do, the more likely they stay below us and have a better chance of getting into the top 4. So the whole tank situation right now is just a complete mess at this point.
I mean, it's always going to come down to the one draw that happens, so I'm not going to be worried about.
Yeah, we're just the odds of us getting the top 3 pick right now are so unlikely because of the way this team is playing their schedule the rest of the year that I think it's more likely that they make the playoffs than they get a top 3 pick.
Yeah.
So
that's funny.
Yeah. Anyway. Thank you, Near012, for a 19-month member message. Says, I'm just saying we can enjoy this winning streak and still tank after the All-Star break. That's the problem, though, is we haven't... Like, this was the hardest part of our schedule, was the Bucks, we won. The Grizzlies, we won. And then we come out of the break, we face Denver and Golden State. I forget which order, but Denver and Golden State, right? But then after that, look at our schedule, guys. It's easy. It's like the easiest schedule in the league after the All-Star break, or close to it. And if we're winning games like this and playing like this, you think when they're in a play-in position and maybe knocking on the door of passing up the Lakers or maybe even getting into the 8th seed, you think this team's gonna stop playing as hard. You know what I mean? This team's going to keep playing their butts off. Maybe we're not taking as lightly, but I think there's a more likely chance we end up making the playoffs than we end up with the top 3 pick at this point. So I don't know. I don't know what to hope for.
Man, I know this sucks for our future, but man, I would love to see us pass the Lakers without Dame. Like if we finish with a better record than the Lakers without Dame, man, that's all. I'm not saying that's worth risking our future for, but like that alone will make up a little bit of it.
Yeah, the Lakers are down at halftime right now, and right now we're only 2 games back. So if they lose this game, we're going to be 1.5 games back of them. Right now we're only 3.5 back of the Clippers. So yeah, we're only 3.5 back of 8. Right now we're 3.5 out of 6th best lottery odds. So we're closer to 8th than we are to like 6th best lottery odds, or just as close to 8th as we are to 6th best lottery odds. So
AD got hurt too.
Yeah, AD got hurt too. Yeah. That's the thing. The Pelicans are rooting against the Lakers because they get the Lakers pick if the Lakers pick is in the top 10. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out with them as well. Shout out to Newzero with the $5 donut. Says some team will want 2 lotto picks for a good player or to move up in the lottery. I don't know if we should have this conversation now or wait until later on in the stream. But there doesn't seem like there's going to be a lot of difference makers available in the offseason via trade. If there is, phenomenal. Like if Pascal Siakam becomes available and they want 2 lotto picks, okay, cool. You know, if our 11th pick gets it done and the Pelicans have the 8th pick or whatever, so if we get 8 and 11 in the draft and that's good enough for the Raptors, okay, do it. You know, the problem is how do we match Siakam's salary, and is he even available? There's a lot of question marks as we head into the offseason. It's going to be a weird position just because there's not a lot out there, in my opinion. So that's a conversation for a little bit later in the stream, I think. But
yeah, and as far as combining picks to move up, sure. If you have to find the right team though, and with how top heavy some of the top 5 is, it's going to be hard to convince a team to move down, especially considering that 4 and 5 are most likely going to be guards. So how do you convince a top 3 team to move down to like 9 and 13? I don't know if that's going to be possible.
It's not going to be possible because this draft isn't close enough between 3 and 9 in terms of prospect quality. So, but that's a conversation for a little bit later on in the stream. We can talk draft. We can talk about the Blazers' position as they head into the offseason. But let's continue to recap this game. I'll get through the rest of the donos. We'll look at team stats. We'll look at Eric's breakdown. Shout out to Jakob Hauge, 20 Norwegian Crony donos. Says at this point, what is Ant and Nurk's value approximately?
Are you talking about like contract wise or?
Yeah, that might be a good question for kind of what I was talking about a little bit later as we look into the offseason. Like what, you know, I think Ant is upwards of a max contract right now. I think Detroit might be a team that'll try and overpay and steal him because they could use a player like him. So he might get a max contract that we could match. I think Ant's going to get a huge payday the way he's looking right now. And then Nurkic, I mean, he had a great game today. $10 to $15 million is kind of his range, in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe a little higher than 15, but yeah, right in that range. In terms of Ant, though, like every team is going to know we're matching no matter what. We traded away CJ and Norm because we're saying we're attaching this guy as our cornerstone piece alongside Dame, right? So, I mean, I don't even know if many teams will even bother offering him, so it might just come down to how much we offer him and how much he's going to hold out for.
Yeah. Shout out to Ku Marcelo, 250 Filipino peso. That's what it is. He says, it's Philippine peso, by the way. Been watching you guys since 2015, 2016 when Tori was doing everything. LOL, most content I get than any analyst. Go Blazers. Thank you for the dono. I wasn't making content back in 2015, 2016, so maybe you're confusing me with somebody else, but I did start, 2017? maybe early 2018. I did my own channel for a year, then I did True Blazer Fan for a year, and then this is year 3 of Blazers Uprise. So it's been about 5 years. So yeah, like 2017. If you followed me on my my personal channel back when I was getting like 20 views on that, then you're a true OG. Appreciate it. Appreciate the 250 Filipino peso dono kun. And then Shaggy Squid, $2 dono. Warriors or Suns will slaughter us in the first round. Thank you, Shaggy Squid. I don't disagree with that at all.
We got Justice Winslow, man.
Oh, yeah, we got Justice Winslow. All right, let's look at the team stats. Thank you, everybody, for your donos. This is what the team stats look like, Eric. Good percentages for Portland. Memphis gets 42 free throws. I don't know. Any other stats stand out to you? We've talked a lot about the percentages. Everything else is somewhat even, except for the fast break points. 27 for Memphis, 10 for Portland. Memphis is a fast break team.
Yeah, I mean, 85 shots for both teams, and on top of all the free throws and the turnovers. So not a lot of turnovers, but I mean, this was a game that had well over 100 possessions on both sides, which is crazy. And I felt like we did a pretty good job of limiting their fast breaks, even though they had 27. So the ball movement kind of, I don't know if we were just not making shots off passes, but we did have 17 assists at halftime, so to finish with 23 was a little disappointing, but they grinded this one out, man.
Yep, agreed. Anyway, let's jump into your breakdown.
All right.
It's been a minute since we've done one of these.
Yep. I apologize. It's hard for me to do the pictures when I'm at work, and I've had to watch a lot of games from work lately.
Yeah. All right. I don't know why it's showing Milwaukee at home. Let me make sure it's good to go. I might have still had a previous thing in there.
That's how long it's been.
Yeah.
I might know it was only a couple weeks ago.
Oh, what? I don't know why. Okay, hold up. Let me figure this out. It's been so long that it's glitching on me or something. I don't know what's happening. Branch breakdown. Let's just do play 4 for play number 1. That'll be easiest. Cool. All right. Bada bing, bada boom. There we go. That's Memphis's court. That's good. All right. Play number 1. What you got?
All right. So I was really excited for this. We called a timeout. Down 2 with a little over 3 minutes left. I wanted to see what Chauncey had drawn up here. And so like I said earlier, he had CJ Ellaby bring the ball up the court for the second play in a row. And we're gonna see Justice set a back pick for Ant, who's gonna come up and get the ball in the second slide. And just really, really nice action off ball at the bottom of your screen here. So Nurk is going to set a screen for Ellaby, and Ellaby is going to go down the lane and go out to the far corner. And then Nurk's going to turn around and set a screen for Josh Hart on the wing. Hart's going to come up, and you see how much separation he gets from Bane here. And Josh is going to get the ball and drive right into the middle of the paint. And Nurk has a great roll on this. Adams has to come up to stop Hart. Hart makes a beautiful drop pass to Nurk, rolling to the basket. And Nurk gets the ball and lays it in. He was really good finishing tonight. So just a great play design, good action off ball, multiple screens off ball, gets someone open down the middle of the lane, and he makes a nice read. Josh Hart, great pass. Nurk, great finish.
Yep, I agree. The one where I'd have in a playoff series, like I love this set. is Justice Winslow's guy just completely leaving and trying to clog this up? That's kind of my one worry if Justice Winslow is going to be a starter next year or whatever. That's why I'd rather have somebody that's a little bit more proven of a three-point shooter here to space. But people have been respecting his three-point shot, and I don't really understand why. The guys have been I've seen him run off the three-point line multiple times in the past 2 games, and it just doesn't make much sense to me. But he was 2 for 3 tonight, so maybe he found his jumper. I don't know, man.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, that's a good first play. I don't have the second one ready yet.
Okay.
Do you want to thank the dono to stall for us?
Sure. Cascade Dussel, thank you so much for the $10 donation. What an amazing energy tonight, and I was totally here for it. Ant is amazing. Pete McLemore, he's earned it. Nurk needs to stop whining to the refs. New guys are growing on me. Go Blazers. Yeah, the energy's been awesome, man.
Everybody was whining at the refs today, so there's a number of... Did Nurk even pick up a technical?
I don't think Nurk...
Because there's 4 technicals in this game, and he didn't pick up one of them, so... I mean, lots
Dane
of...
Dane and Jaw each had one.
Yeah, Greg Brown
and Josh Hart had one.
Yeah. Was it Greg Brown that got one? Did he get one? Am I remember that correctly?
I don't know if he got a...
I don't remember. There's so many.
I know Hart got one, yeah.
Yeah, they were handing out teeth like candy. Anyway, thank you for the dono. Let's move on to play number 2.
All right, so this is off of Nurk's basket here. So this is directly after the first play. Wanted to see how we defended this possession out of the timeout. So Bane's got the ball here, but they're obviously trying to set up kind of like we did with Ant on that last play. They're trying to get the ball into Jaw's hand. So in the second play, he's going to come up and get the ball. And then Jaw's going to get defended pretty well. He's going to pass off to, I think that's Adams there in the third slide. And after he couldn't really get around Winslow, Adams is going to kick it back out to Jaw in the fourth slide. CJ Ellaby has now switched on to him. And Ellaby is going to do a great job of not letting Adams screen him, and he's going to stay in front of Jaw the whole time. Now, it's a little easier with a guy like Jaw because you kind of want him to shoot in these situations. But Jaw's going to have no opportunity to drive this lane, and Nurk's in great help position anyway. And Hart's, one step away from his man. So Jaw's going to throw it over to him. Hart actually runs by him. Bane pump fakes, but Hart turns around and makes a great contest on the 3. And the shot ends up being an air ball and a 24-second violation. Just great positioning and defense for the full 24 seconds.
Yep. All right. Cool. That was Brandt's breakdown. We'll hop into player cards in a second. I'm just going to take a look at chat here.
Okay,
if there's anything interesting.
We have to answer this.
All right, go ahead.
By JC1023. You guys owe Cronin an apology.
I don't owe any...
You
I don't
trashed him for these trades.
I don't owe anybody anything. I don't owe anybody anything. I sit here and give my opinions. If my opinions are right, cool. If my opinions are wrong, cool. That doesn't mean I owe anybody anything. That's a pet peeve of mine, is when people sit here and because we sit here and give people free content if they want and give an opinion that might be wrong or might be right. It's not even necessarily a wrong opinion. We can get into why it's not wrong. But if I do give a wrong opinion, that doesn't mean I owe anybody anything. Well, I hate when people phrase it like that. That frustrates me.
Okay. Blazers have won 4 in a row, right? Does 4 games mean the trades were great? No. I mean, they are working out so far, yes. But don't try to tell us that the trades were good when even the people who like the trades said it was because we were trying to be as bad as possible this year and we were trying to get as much cap space, which is now debunked by the fact we're playing good, and we've debunked the whole myth that we actually have cap space, because we don't. And so, like, those trades made us better this year. So you can't even say that they were to tank, right? We didn't get full value for any of the players we traded out. So no, those are not good trades. And on top of that, we don't know what the next process of this. Everyone's like, wait and see what they do with all this flexibility and cleaning of the cap situation, right? So don't tell me this season all of a sudden matters in terms of, oh, he made great trades, when we're talking the whole narrative around every single one of those trades by the people who like them was to see what he did and have patience with him and decide this summer, not immediately after the trade. So don't give me this crap that it's still a difference in or like we have to admit it was a good trade. No, we got ripped off in the Clippers trade. Now, if you want to say Justice Winslow was a good target, the Clippers would have freaking given us Justice Winslow for free. They would have gladly had us take him off their roster if we wanted to. So we gave up two starters for a guy that they would have given to us for free and not expected anything back in return. So no, like, miss me with that. If he wanted to sign Justice Winslow or trade for him, and that was like a separate thing, and he believed in Justice Winslow, great. But that wasn't what happened in these trades. So don't now judge that.
I literally heard, oh yeah, they want to make the team as bad as possible because they want a good draft pick. I heard that, bro. And now it's like, oh, because this team is good, you owe Cronin an apology. Apparently he wasn't even trying to make the team good. So what? I owe him an apology? As if he's A, gonna even hear it, or B, as if I'm gonna be right 100% of the time and have to apologize anytime I'm not right. Come on, man. Get out of here with that. All right? Now, I'm not saying people need to pump the brakes on overreacting to a 4-game winning streak, right? What happens every single year? The Blazers suck at the start of the year. Then around the trade deadline or right after the All-Star break, they start to win a lot of games. It happened last year. I'm pretty sure it happened the year before. And then the playoffs, they lose in the first round, okay? Now they are playing a better style of basketball. Mm-hmm. So I'll give them credit for that.
For sure.
But we've seen this story before in terms of like overreaction to, oh, look, they're winning games. They won 4 in a row. Look, they got this good win. They got that good win.
10 out of 12 after they got Norm.
Yeah. They won 10 out of 12 after they got Norm. And now it's like, oh, thank God we traded Norm because we got better by getting him off our team. Mm-hmm. Like, enjoy the wins, but don't overreact in terms of like analyzing the long-term picture because of 4 games. Okay? This team looks better than I thought. But they still need to get more talent in the offseason. Right now, it looks like a top 3 pick is unlikely. And they need to... I don't know what their plan is this offseason because there's not a lot of targets, and the cap space route has never made as much sense as people try to make it out to, just because the numbers... The Blazers don't have as much cap space as people think if they keep Nurkic and Ant. So, like, there's still a lot of work to be done. It's what determines if Cronin is a success or not is what he does this offseason. So I don't owe him anything at all.
And I mean, Tori and I said this multiple times. He can still win in the long run if we get lucky with the draft picks, if he manages to get a star player with all this flexibility or something, then yes, you can maybe justify making bad trades or whatever. But he made that harder than easier. Like he tried to frame it like he made it easier to do that with all the flexibility, but giving up players and not getting assets to use in those moves made it harder. So if he can still pull it off, I will give him credit. And he did something, right? But it's just as likely that we might now make the playoffs, lose the New Orleans pick because they move up, and then we don't get very good assets out of the CJ trade, and then we don't really have much to trade this offseason. And one of those things is if we want to match salary in a trade, we'd either have to cut Josh Hart to have that extra salary cap, or we'd have to include him in the trade along with Bledsoe to get whatever player we're getting back and give up picks in the future probably or whatever. So like this whole thing is, you love Josh Hart or whatever, it's a good move, right? I want to keep Josh Hart, but like in order now to make these moves, we don't have any contracts to trade out, and his $12 million is going to be needed to match a big salary. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
I mean, it's this simple. This team looks better than I thought. Okay, these players fit Chauncey's identity. There's some good things happening right now, but the long-term picture and the bigger picture is still the same. So therefore, nothing these 4 games has changed that. Okay? Nothing about this 4 games has changed that. And it's a situation where the Blazers have made a lot of shots, and mediocre at best shooters have made a lot of shots. Josh Hart is shooting like 50% from 3 in a Blazer uniform. He's a career 34% shooter, okay? There's going to be a stretch where he starts to miss threes, and people are like, oh man, what the hell? This team sucks when we stop making shots, because we're not going to make shots at this level consistently, all right? And good win. Enjoy the win. It's just the big picture is still a completely different conversation than talking about winning this game or winning the last game or whatever.
Also, the hidden thing is these trades freed Chauncey up to actually be himself and to like coach the guys that are on this team right now. So it'll be very interesting to see, one, when Dame comes back, if he comes back this season or whether that's next season, and 2, if we get a really good player that's like an established player in this league, if Chauncey can still do what he's doing since the trade deadline with better players and guys who maybe aren't just going to go in there and do whatever he asks for him and get down and do the dirty work, right? So that's the next step that I'm waiting to see. But Cronin can absolutely save this if he pulls something off this summer, right? It still doesn't make up for not getting the good assets in return, but I mean, it's just as likely he doesn't do anything with all of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm worried about. If we win, our pick isn't anywhere near as good because of it, and then we look at this team like, oh, we just got to add Dame to this because we still need more work. So that's why I saw somebody in chat, Tori looks mad that we're winning. I'm enjoying the way they're playing. These games have been fun to watch. Big picture, I'm worried. So in the short term, I'm enjoying it. In the long term, I'm a little bit worried about what their long-term plan is. So, I can enjoy, you can enjoy the short-term style of play and be worried about the long term. You know what I mean? It's not contradictory. Anyway, let me thank a couple donations and then we'll get into player cards. Shout JM1231, $5 dono says, yeah, that Norm trade is really, really contributing to this run. It is still an awful trade and this run could be even better if we got a real return. I mean, Justice Winslow has played well. I don't expect him to maintain this level of play, simply because he's playing better than he has the past 3-4 years. Maybe he can, but I don't expect him to go 2 for 3 from 3 consistently, So he's the only guy from that trade that's playing right now. So, I mean, we didn't get good enough value back in that trade. If we got good enough value back, maybe a different player would look good. You know what I mean? And maybe we get a first-round pick back, too. I still don't like the value on that trade, and that's not going to change just because the Blazers are having some success right now. Thank you, JM, for the $5 dono. Shout Ripsy208, $5 dono. Says, great game. So nice to enjoy Blazer basketball again. Appreciate you guys doing this 80-plus times a year. P.S. Give my boy Winslow some love. I gave your boy Winslow some love. He's playing well right now. We'll see if he can keep it up after the All-Star break. Hopefully he can, hopefully he can keep this up.
All right, he's playing really good.
Yeah. Thank you, Ripsy208, for the $5 dono. We'll talk about Winslow when we get to his player card. Let me make sure I have those queued up. And we will start talking about individual players.
While you're doing that, just quick question. Hey, asked, start of the fourth quarter, you rooting for the Blazers to collapse or win the game?
Huh?
Start of the fourth quarter, were you rooting for them to collapse or win the game?
I wasn't rooting for them to collapse, but I wasn't rooting for them to win the game.
Yeah.
It was close enough at the start of the fourth quarter that they could have lost this game without collapsing.
I once again found myself cheering for them to win.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's too hard not to get excited when Ant hits the step back and Nurk's grabbing an offensive board and putting it back,
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's time for me to stop hoping they lose so that we get a top 3 pick because they're going to win every game. Or maybe I should keep hoping for that. Maybe they'll win a championship. I don't know what to want at this point. I'm lost. This team is something else. Yeah, let's... Andrew, I can root for them to lose. That there's no basketball god. I don't know what. Okay, I don't know what religion you believe in. Andrew says you can't root for them to lose. That's playing with the basketball gods in a bad way. I don't know what religion you believe in. Maybe there's a basketball god religion. Who am I to tell you not to believe in that religion? But I personally, I don't believe in a basketball god. So I'm not really worried about that. You know, I mean, the Warriors lost a couple, like they tanked a year and got a number 2 pick, and look at them right now. They are playing really well.
But that number 2 pick hasn't helped them one bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is...
They're not playing well because of the number 2 pick.
I'm not saying they are.
No, I know, but like that had no impact on it.
I'm not even talking about that though. I'm saying they tanked for a year, and the basketball gods have haven't punished them because look at how well they're doing.
Yeah.
So, anyway, yeah, that was my entire point on that. I mean, Wiseman's been hurt, and maybe they should have foreseen that with his injury situation, but he's who's taking it 3? LaMelo? They should have just taken LaMelo. Then, you know, which I didn't like LaMelo at draft time. I would have taken Wiseman too, so that would have been my mistake. But if they took LaMelo, imagine Golden State with LaMelo right now.
I mean, it's hard to know injury-wise. Wiseman wasn't hurt going into the draft, so...
Yeah, I mean, it's unlucky. It's almost like a Greg Oden situation. It seems like it could end up being because he's been really, really injured, and that happens with big men. You know, that's the risk you take. Anyway, let's jump into the player cards. Eric, number 1. Look at Yusuf Nurkic. 32 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and a block. 12 for 17 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. Nurkic had a phenomenal game tonight.
Yep, just great all-around game. Sorry to Reese that he didn't get 11 rebounds or whatever. I told him not to bet on it, but...
Did he bet on Nurkic getting 11 rebounds?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. But anyways, just fantastic game from Nurk, man. Just hitting his free throws, not turning the ball over outside. I think he got stripped in the post one time. Yeah, I mean, he hit a 3, but only took 2 of them. But what, 11 for 15 from the field. I'll take that all day. He had some good passes in this one as well. Probably should have had a couple more assists. Just really good game from Nurk. And yeah, good rim protection as well.
His shot's looking better. I don't know if he made an adjustment, but it seemed like the 3 he made, he got a lot of arc on.
Yeah.
Did you have that same opinion when you watched it, or is that just me?
Yeah, he just... It's weird with Nurk. I don't even think it's like an adjustment. It's just like when he's in a good mood, I feel like he focuses more, and like when he's kind of half-assing it on the court, he just kind of flings it up, you know, especially on free throws and stuff.
Well, I feel like he throws it in that situation. Yeah. Like he throws it forward. He doesn't get enough arc. His shot's flat because he's just shooting it straight at the rim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I definitely noticed some more arc, yeah.
Yeah, that might be a good adjustment for him to make. He's 3 for 4 his last 2 games, Eric, so I want him to keep shooting threes and see if he can find some consistency there.
Couple questions regarding Nurk. Do you think he can sustain this playing next year after he gets his contract? Asked Joey.
I mean, there's no reason why he couldn't.
Yeah.
I
mean, people say that, he wasn't coming back from a leg injury, and that kind of zapped some of his athleticism and movement and stuff. But he signed that contract and was dominating before he got hurt. That was after he signed a big contract. So I don't know how you could say that he's going to pull a Julius Randle once he gets his contract and just completely go into being horrible or whatever. Because he was doing great on his current contract right at the beginning before he got hurt. So I don't see how that's... I understand that people think he's kind of moody and stuff, and that might be true, but like I don't think he's the type that's just going to be like, oh, I got paid, I'm not even going to try with Dame anymore, you know.
Yeah.
Like I think as long as he has a role like he's playing lately, I think he's going to be all in.
Yep. You gotta love the Nurk. I don't know if KJD's a Nurkic hater, but it's funny because like every time he does well, it's always like, oh well, next game he'll do bad, or watch next game Nurkic is shooting 4 for 15. Like give the man his props. He was God, I keep switching to Simons. I don't know why. Give Nurkic his props. Dude was phenomenal tonight, almost at a career high. Finished extremely well, and he was doing a good job getting deep position out of what seemed like some freelance situations. But then it was obvious that Chauncey was running some sets to get him good low post position. We were asking that for years from Terry Stotts, but every time Nurkic got the ball in the post, it was like, okay, let's just dribble it up the side of the court, walk the ball up, and then throw it into Nurkic in the post, and his defender's just shoving him out of there. And by the time he got the ball, Nurkic would be like 15 feet away from the rim and would have to try and back his way all the way down to get close enough to make a move around the rim. By that time, he'd probably be doubled. Sometimes defenders would take charges. But Chauncey has seemingly made a concerted effort to try and draw up some sets that gets Nurkic some deep low post position. And he had a shot today. I think the pass was from Winslow.
Yeah, it
where,
was. Yep.
Yeah, he kind of
exactly the player.
Yep, got back screened. I think he got a back screen and flashed across the key and caught the ball and just went up with a layup because he caught the ball 3 feet away from the rim.
Great pass by Winslow, right in position.
Yeah, good execution of the play. It's just nice to be able to run him some things that makes it easier on him to finish, and he did a good job of executing those plays today, getting good position, making the right decision whether to shoot or pass, not rushing things. He played a very, very good game today.
We've had like 30 games in a row where the first play is a cross screen for Nurkic to post up, and it's not always for him to score, but like just that's always our first play of the game. Watch for that. He'll start on the opposite side and he'll get a screen and come across, and we'll try to post him up.
Yep. Shout Gavin Klump. 18-month member message says, who wins in a fight, Anfernee Simons or a Hurricane? Very random, but I'm taking Simons in any fight, at least tonight.
Simons, will step right around that Hurricane, and it'll just like a bullfight. He'll just like go right by him, and yep.
What a debate. Anyway, speaking of Simons. 31 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, 11 for 18 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3. Efficient night from him. He finally got going at the start of a game. His games lately have been like a first quarter where he struggles to make shots, and some of them will be some easy shots that just don't fall, and then he gets hot in the second or third quarter. He started off this game very well, had 3 threes in the first quarter, if I recall correctly, and had 31. Honestly, he played better than Ja Morant today. He just didn't get 25 free throws. If he got 25 free throws, he would have had like 50 points.
2 of his 4 were for technicals again, so.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is like Ja's a little bit shorter than him, and quicker, of course. But like in terms of like vertical leaping ability, they're somewhat similar. And Ja just goes at guys, and it puts him at like a risk of injury, but he's been able to like stay relatively healthy despite how like reckless he plays almost in terms of just kind of throwing his body around. But some of the fouls he was able to draw tonight was just because he'd be beating guys and would just jump at the rim and just go like straight at guys and would draw fouls that way. And Simons long term, I hope that he's able to kind of learn from that and be able to draw more fouls, because I see the way Ja Morant draws fouls and it's like, why can't Simons draw some of those same calls, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Once he learns, I've been saying this all year, once he learns to go into bodies in the paint and draw those fouls, it's over, man. This guy, he was scoring at all 3 levels tonight, and there was nothing the Grizzlies could do. And it was like good defense too. And he'd just stop on a dime, pull up, elevate like way over the defender. There's no chance to block it. And he was just cashing those. Like, this guy's evolution is just amazing. And Dame is really good at getting to the basket and drawing the fouls, and that's the next thing for Ant to learn. But man, in terms of like getting a shot off, like off a drive, I think he's maybe passing Dame up in terms of like mid range, and if he starts hitting those like consistently, I just don't know how you guard him. Like, you have to double team him basically. And dude, he had the sweetest wraparound pass to cutting Greg Brown in the first half. He had so many nice. He's doing a great job of drawing the defense and kicking to the corners and stuff. Now CJ Ellaby missed a couple threes off of those tonight, so it wasn't he didn't get a lot of assists off of them,
Yeah.
But like he's making such great reads, and it's crazy watching how good he is at just running the offense and doing all this stuff in just a short amount of time of him being put in that role. And it's just going to get better for him. I mean, he still has 5 years until like a normal person's prime, right? So like think about how good he's going to be if he's this good now at all these reads and pulling up and all this kind of stuff. It's just crazy how much more he has. And yeah, I think he had some really good mentors, both Dame and CJ, really good people to learn from. And Dame's the kind of star, the rare star who isn't threatened by anyone, even if they play the same exact role or position as him. Mm-hmm. He will always help that person be the best version of themselves. And that's why I think anyone who ever says, we even had those comments tonight, like Dame's going to mess it all up, he's selfish, he doesn't make people better. Like, bull crap, man. Dame helps everyone on his team. He's one of the best leaders in the game. And, just because he hasn't had the talent to win a championship doesn't mean someone is not a good leader and doesn't make his teammates better. And I think Anfernee Simons we knew he had talent, but just seeing the way he plays like Dame and breaks down a defense like Dame, it's obvious he learned a lot from it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just curious to see if he's able to learn how to like get to the line at the same level. Because that's the thing, is all the great scorers get to the line consistently, like get to the line a ton. He has everything else. Yeah. He has the athleticism, he has the ball handling ability, the shiftiness, the mid-range game, the three-point game. His finishing has been much better this year because he's going stronger. How many times in the past couple of years do we see him kind of run away from the rim and shoot up like kind of like a hook shot, kind of avoiding contact. Or
like fading away from the basket.
Yeah, but then today he comes off a pick and roll and jumps kind of straight at Jaren Jackson Jr. And then readjusts to the left around him. You know what I mean? Right to the backboard. So his finishing has evolved to the point where like I trust his finishing and I trust him to I don't know, he's not doing any of the finesse stuff that caused his finishing to be bad last year. Like, he's been a better finisher because he's going stronger. So, in terms of three-level scoring, at the rim, mid-range, three-point shot, he has it all. I just want to see him get to the free throw line because, I mean, that's how Dame will have some 50-point games, is he's just able to get to the free throw line. That comes with experience. That comes with playing a lot. So I expect him to learn that, and he has a perfect mentor in Dame for that. And you look at, like, part of it is respect, too. Morant, his rookie year, even if he played the same as he did today, he wouldn't have gotten 25 free throws. Part of it with Ja is he's getting a lot of respect because he's having a phenomenal season. He's an all-star starter, so that's part of the reason why he got 25 free throws today. So as Simons continues to evolve and make a name for himself, he'll start just getting more calls out of respect. But there's definitely some little tricks that I'm looking forward to him hopefully learning in order to get to the charity stripe a little bit more, because that'll just complete his ascension as a scorer, in my opinion.
Completely agree. Maybe watch film of this game and see what Ja's doing to create that contact and learn from that. But I mean, like I said, if he learns how to do that, get to the free throw line. We saw years where Dame averaged close to 10 free throws a game, and with how good of a free throw shooter he is, man, and with how efficient he is right now, how do you stop that if he's getting to the free throw line too? Yeah,
because he's shooting. This doesn't count this game, 88% from the free throw line for the season. So it's super efficient if he gets there. In last year, he was 81%. The year before, 83%. Rookie year was at 56%. So that's another, like, everything's improved. Even his free throw percentage is improved. And he's getting to the line at a little bit higher rate than last year. So I'm looking forward to him hopefully being able to do that.
I can't quite tell what's the new badge he has.
The new badge, I don't know. Chris did not. It's a
So
20.
for those that don't know, he's got the rocket launcher badge because he's completely blown up the tank, and he's got the history book badge because he's making history. Youngest player to make, well, I forgot what it is. The first 30 starts, he's made the most threes out of anyone in NBA history in his first 30 starts, and then he had just some streak of 4 made threes or 7 made threes in a row or something like that he also got in the history books for. So yeah, it looks like a shot clock on a bomb or something. Maybe it's just
on a bomb. We're demonetized.
Just another way of blowing up the tank, I guess.
Yeah. Chris will probably have an explanation here in a second in chat. Anyway, let's move on to Joshua Hart, to be specific. 22 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 7 for 12 from the field, 22 points on 12 shots, insanely efficient, 3 for 6 from 3, 5 for 7 from the free throw line. He had a stretch there where it was like he was playing with the 2K sliders turned up, Eric. He had that shot clock buzzer beating 3 where he was like fading away. And just, I don't know, like he shot that flat too, and it was just money. And then a couple possessions later, he has that shot clock buzzer beating and one, that floater on the blocking foul on, I think it was Konkar, or however you say his name. It hit that bank shot, that push shot. I mean, the dude's hitting shots. Like, I don't know if this is just some sort of magic sauce in Portland for him, where he's just going to come here and finally be like a lights out shooter, but he's been a lights out shooter his first 3 games here. And it's just weird because this year he's shooting 33% from 3, which is below average, right? And now he's been a sniper. So I'm curious to see how he finishes the year shooting the ball because he's been on fire. But even if he's not making threes, he's showing everything that he was brought in here for. Defense, like solid defense, not just on the ball, but off the ball as well.
Yep.
One of your breakdowns showed one of his terrific contests. Okay, so he defends well, he hustles, he plays with energy. We needed that. We needed kind of like, and I said this earlier in the season, we needed somebody to set the tone defensively, like a Draymond Green or a Marcus Smart, or somebody that just goes out there and just busts their ass to the point where like it's contagious. Because I've made this point before. If you got guys on the team that are lazy, even if it's just a couple, right? If you bust your ass defending for 10 seconds of a possession, but then the other team still scores because one of your teammates slacking or playing lazy defense or not doing what they're supposed to, it's going to lead to you probably not giving the same amount of effort the next possession, because it doesn't matter when other people are making mistakes. You know, why am I going to put in all this effort and they're still going to score because this guy's slacking, right? So I felt like we needed the opposite of that. We needed somebody to set the tone defensively from an effort level, play with that sort of energy, some feistiness. Dylan Brooks was a name that people tossed out there as a guy that kind of brings that. And we tossed out Josh Hart in one of those conversations, and he's been that. So defensively kind of sets that tone. I don't know if you want to talk about that before I talk about his passing a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, defense, he's been great. He's a perfect. So when teams run zone, you have to kind of play a 2-3, which means you have like 2 guards up near the top of the 3-point line, and then you have someone in the middle, but he's got to kind of stay to one side just so he doesn't get a defensive 3-second call, and then you have the 2 guys in the bottom corners, and he's like one of the perfect defenders on the top as one of the top 2 guys, because he's, even when he rotates down and has to play that big spot if the big goes out, he's just like tough, and he'll get in there and battle with like big guys, and guy like Steven Adams doesn't really even get the ball, let alone post him up or anything. So maybe this wasn't the best game to watch that, but he just is all over the court, and he's everywhere he needs to be. And it's so nice to have one of those guys. And I'm sure Chauncey's loving having someone on the court that he doesn't have to constantly yell at every possession to be in the right spot, or to rotate to this position, or to close out better or something like that, because he's always doing the right things.
Yep. Passing wise, you showcased one of his plays where he dropped a dime to Nurkic. He makes the right passes. His lob pass to Greg Brown was a little bit behind. He had a couple passes that were errant, but he was averaging 4 assists per game before he came in here. So as a wing that can defend and play make, like the only knock on him was his 3-point shot, and he's knocking down threes. He looks phenomenal because he finishes, does literally everything else.
I have a question for you.
What?
So he played on the Lakers early in his career, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Lotto Lakers before they got LeBron, right? And then he was traded when they got LeBron. Or did he play 1 year with LeBron? Yeah, I think he played 1 year with LeBron.
Yeah, and then he was in the AD trade, LeBron, so yeah, he played 1 year with LeBron.
And then, he's been on the Pelicans since, and they haven't been good. Is it, like, a guy like Josh Hart's one of those guys who is a really good player on a good team, like a glue guy and someone who does all the little things right?
Yeah.
I think maybe, like, I'm not going to say, I think it's too soon to know if that shooting percentage is going to go up, like, to the upper 30 percentage from 3 or whatever, but he hasn't really played on a great team yet in his career. I think he's never has even played in a playoff game. So,
no. Yeah.
So like, I don't know, like maybe, I know this year might not be the best case, but like, it's got to be freeing to him to play on a team where he feels like he has like a legit shot at winning games and stuff.
I don't know if I'd go that far just because he's played 3 games here and this lineup isn't really a playoff lineup. Also, for his career, he's a 73.6 free throw shooter. Mm-hmm. So, if he was sitting here shooting like 88% for the free throw line, I'd be like, yeah, maybe it's just a situation where he hasn't gotten high quality shots, but he's not a particularly good free throw shooter for his career either. So, I don't know. I hope he keeps it up, man. If he can shoot threes at 36-37%, the dude is one of the best role players in the league, right? He's not going to be a star or anything like that, but in terms of a guy that literally does everything, a glue guy, consistently brings energy, you know exactly what you're going to get out of him. He can make the right pass, make the right play, make the right cut, finish, and then if he's knocking down threes like that, that's the type of guy the Blazers have been missing on the wing for a while. And some people will say, oh, well, that's who Gary Trent Jr. could have been. Gary Trent Jr. ain't passing like this, right? Gary Trent Jr. is forcing worse shots than Josh Hart does. Josh Hart takes the right shots, okay? Gary Trent Jr. isn't rebounding like this. Gary Trent Jr. isn't playing like I would honestly, people over at Gary Trent Jr.'s defense, I would rather have Josh Hart defensively because he's not going to go out there and gamble for steals like Gary Trent Jr. does. So that's the thing is we haven't had this guy.
That play, the offensive play I showed in Brandt's breakdown, this isn't a knock on Trent or CJ, but they're both shooting the ball in that situation. And instead, Hart gets Nurk a lay-in, Yeah. It's like, that's the difference between a good team player and someone who is hunting their own shots. And I'm not saying one is necessarily better than the other. I just think in terms of, we have Ant, we have Dame coming back, we have a big that likes to also pass, but you're also rewarding him in that situation. So, like, it makes everyone happy when that happens versus if CJ makes that shot or Trent makes that shot, it's like, okay, great, you made it. But, like, that's just, it comes down to whether they make a shot. But when you have a play where pretty much everyone touches the ball or sets a screen or makes something happen, and then everyone feels like they contributed to that shot, and it's so much better for team chemistry and just feeling like you're a part of it.
Yep, agree with that. Let's move on to Justice. 16.7 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 for 13 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the free throw line. So from 2, he was 3 for 10. But he knocked down 2 of 3 threes and knocked down his free throws, which is kind of the opposite as to what you can expect from him. Defensively, defended well tonight. He's a solid defensive player. 3 assists as well. Just kind of a glue guy that does it all except shoot, except knock down threes. But he knocked down threes tonight.
So this is why I like Justice so far. I mean, a little bit of it was the last couple of years, man, he looked really out of shape. And I know he had was it a back issue or a hip issue. I think it was hip. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
like maybe that contributed to it a little bit, but we are begging for this all year, Tori. We're like, just get a guy that plays hard and leaves it all on the court, right? And at least we have someone now with Jusuf. So like, no matter what happens, I know he's going to play hard on the court, and I'm fine living with whatever happens there. Versus someone or a couple people that we traded out that were much more talented, that I and you, Tori, come on the show, and we weren't sure if they were even caring or trying hard, right? So, like, thank goodness we have people who actually care now, and that's all we've asked for all year. And so I'm glad that we have people that just leave it out on the court, because those all, I mean, whether it works or not long term, like I'll still root for guys like that who at least, like, you can tell are doing everything they can possible. Now they might be limited, like you said, with their shooting ability or something like that, so it might not work out, but at least he tried as hard as he could when he played, and he didn't just like let his guy go by him and try to get a steal, or like Hassan Whiteside chasing blocks at the expense of the other team getting offensive rebounds, stuff like that. So yeah, I like guys like that, so he's kind of growing on me. I don't know how good your team could be if he's like top 6 or 7 in your rotation, but for right now, I just want guys who play hard. And I mean, if we get Dame back and he somehow fits back into this offense, and we have both him and Ant and Nurk playing well and Hart contributing, like, I don't know how much offense we necessarily need out of Winslow. So maybe we can live with a little bit of players like that. It's just, yeah, right now I just like watching him play and hustle out there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be negative, but some people will say I need to apologize or something, but I just wish you could shoot, because it's a situation in a playoff series where teams will kind of try and play 5-on-4 defensively and just leave them open from 3, and I don't think you can rely on that. You know what I mean? But it's funny how it went from, like, back in when Aminu and Harkless were starters and our defense was solid, it was like, oh, those guys don't shoot well enough.
Yeah.
And that's why we're losing in the playoffs. And now it's like, oh, we don't care that Jusuf Winslow can shoot. He plays hard. You know what I mean? And plays the right way. So I like that, and that matters. It's just sad that the bar became so low in terms of effort. And then it's like all the people that were screaming for, oh, we need forwards that can shoot because that's our downfall, is because we don't have forwards that can shoot well enough. Now it's like, that doesn't even matter to the same people that said that was the reason why we lost 3 years ago to the Pelicans and got swept by them.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talked about all this with Ben Simmons, right? Like, he can't play off ball in the playoffs, and he doesn't want the ball in the playoffs, right? But if you have a guy who can't shoot but isn't afraid to dribble the ball or whatever, like, you could run, like, that play I showed, right? Instead of him being off ball, he could be the CJ Ellaby in that play, right? Where he brings the ball up and initiates the offense, and then you have Dame, Ant, Nurk, and Hart off ball or whatever, and you make it work that way. So, like, I don't know if it's impossible to have him on the court, like, even if you can't shoot, because that will make it so teams can't double team either one of Dame or Ant, and they for sure will have trouble double teaming one of them off ball. So where there's a lot of things, if Chauncey's a good coach at designing schemes and stuff, could do that kind of stuff. So maybe there's some stuff you could do with that.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to, like, in the playoffs, when teams are allowed to be more physical, and Dame or Ant is trying to drive or run a pick and roll with Nurkic, where's Jusuf Winslow's defender going to go? They're just going to go in there and clog it up and try and body up whoever, rotate, and make everybody that drives, Ant, Dame, whoever the other forward is, they're going to see more of a crowd. Yeah. And Jusuf, I guess, can cut off that, but it's like, if somebody's driving into the paint and then the paint ends up crowded, where is Jusuf Winslow going to cut to? Right? That's the only problem with a guy like that, if you're going to start him. Okay, like, if he's off the bench, that's fine. I want to get a backup 5 that can shoot. so that you're able to have 4 shooters around there. And I think that would make Justus the best player possible, and he could kind of play to his role and wouldn't have to rely on shooting, and he would have more space to cut. You know what I mean? And I think it could work for sure. That's just where like some people have suggested having him in the starting lineup with like Nurkic next year, and that's just the problem that I see having 2 basically non-shooters out there.
Well, I mean, honestly, we've seen Greg Brown and Trendon Watford like play with lineups that can't shoot very well, and they've been cutting and it's been effective. I don't know. I think there's
yeah, but I mean, like teams have been running them off the 3-point line for whatever reason, right? Yeah. And it's like not enough attention to detail to whatever the defensive game plan should be. And I don't know if that's teams taking us lightly or what, but we saw last game 2 defenders ran Justus Winslow off the 3-point line and left Anfernee Simons wide open. Yeah. Right? Like, so, and I saw this game, like, somebody flew out at a Justus Winslow pump fake from 3, and then Justus Winslow was able to drive. I don't know what happened after that. I don't remember what happened after that, but it was like, wow, teams are really running them off the 3-point line. The thing is, in the playoffs, when you're playing the same team over and over and over again, and you're going to pay more attention to the details of the game plan, I don't know. I feel like it could be a little bit more clunky. So that's kind of just my thoughts on it. I like what he's done. He's impressed me. He looks in better shape. The thing is, when we traded for him, he, like before that, had played. He hadn't played good for the Clippers. There was a reason he was barely playing for the Clippers. The 2-3 years before that, he was awful. So like up to that point, he was an awful NBA player. He's played better than an awful NBA player, and it could be because he's healthier. It could be because he's in better shape. But he's finished better. He's fit in, and I want to see him continue that for the rest of the year. Because if he's gonna play like this, I'm okay with him maybe being a 9th man. Maybe my tune changes on that, where I was saying, oh, you can't have him in the rotation at all, and maybe at this point you can if he continues to play like this. I just don't know if I can trust it based off only a handful of games compared to the last 3 years. So I'm waiting to see for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think for me it's like I've been thinking about it for 9 years in terms of a guy like Winslow. I still have PTSD from like Stotts, so like he would not be, there's no way to use him effective in a Stotts offense, right? Mm-hmm. Like he'd have 0 chance of succeeding here, in my opinion. But I don't know, like if a smart coach, you don't have to park him on the 3-point line. You can tell him to cut if he's not doing that. And so there are things you can do. So I'm willing to give it a chance to see what Chauncey can do to minimize his shooting flaws if he doesn't continue shooting as well as he's done so far. But I mean, other than that, I mean, I'm willing to see what Chauncey does to counteract that. And I'm hoping that since we have seemingly a coach that's finding his groove and coaching really well right now, that once that becomes a problem, he'll make adjustments and not just run the same bit boring offense over and over again and hope eventually it'll work, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing. I'm a little more optimistic that we can find players and adapt our style to their skills versus just trying to fit them into our offense, and then if it doesn't work, being like, "Oop, nothing I can do about it because they just can't shoot."
I mean, yeah, he's absolutely better under Chauncey than Stotts, absolutely. It's just when it comes to fans, like they want Justus Winslow to work out here, right? And I'm just trying to be realistic with some of the possible flaws. There's good things. There's ways it can work. There's possessions that can work. There's just also possessions where it might not work, and I'm worried about how that manifests itself in the playoffs, right? And nothing about these 4 games is going to change my mind with his shooting, right? That's not me hating Justus Winslow, okay? But it's like people like it when I call it like I see it until they disagree with me, and then it's like, why do you hate him? What in the world? Like, I'm just saying what I see with them, all right? And I'm not going to get too caught up in like the idea of Justus Winslow and wanting him to do so well that I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to think about the worries I have about him, or I'm not going to think about the fact that he's, for his career, a 31 3-point shooter, and it's been worse the past couple of years than it was earlier in his career. Like, he's declined in terms of his 3-point shooting. I'm not just going to ignore that because I want him to work out, and I'm going to call it like I see it. That's not me hating it, right? And it's funny because, like, when people agree with me, they'll never say, "Oh, why do you hate this person?" It's like, "Oh, you're spitting facts." But then when they disagree, all of a sudden it's hate.
Yeah.
So I'm just calling it like I see it. Respect it if you agree. Respect it if you disagree. That's what I would hope.
And once again, even if the front office did, like, somehow, identify Justice as like a perfect piece for Chauncey and all this kind of stuff, again, we could have gotten him for free from a trade exception from any of the other trades we made. So, like, the Clippers literally would have given him to us for the minimum possible to send
just
back.
To save money off their luxury tax.
Yeah,
payment.
So, like, that's fine. It's just don't try to say that, like, we deserve credit for, or, like, the front office deserves credit, or we are wrong because we said we didn't like the trade or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is we don't like our analysis of that trade is far more nuanced than Justice Winslow playing well in 5 games for us or not. And but like, people will try and bash our analysis based on Justice Winslow playing good in 5 games for us.
And Fuzzy brings up a great point too. Like, Winslow, like, Nurk likes him already. You saw their, like, interaction after last game. It was really funny. He was calling him Nurky, and they were razzing each other because Nurk had a great pass to him and he fumbled it out of bounds or something, and so they were like going back and forth about that. So, like, that's one other thing that I have to give Winslow credit for, is that he's come in and just, like, he's having fun, he's fitting right in, and the chemistry on this team is really good right now.
Yep, agreed. Let's move on to Ben. No D McLemore. 14 points, 2 rebounds and assists, 2 for 5 from 3, 6 for 10 from the field. He shot a couple questionable threes, made a questionable three. Like, he's just a gunner, man. But I don't know. I don't want him in the rotation next year. He's shot the 3 ball solid this year. He's kind of declined as of late. Nice to see him go 2 for 5. But it's like, I want to try and find, I don't know, like, we have our guard rotation set next year. I think Nas is a 3. McLemore can't play the 3. And I don't want to move Josh Hart playing more. I like Josh Hart playing the 2. I like Josh Hart playing all the backup guard minutes next year behind Damon Ant. Ant plays backup point guard. You stagger Damon Ant, that sort of thing. The only way McLemore would be in the rotation next year is if you play Hart more at the 3 to open up some guard minutes, because McLemore's 6'3". He's not going to, I don't like him at small forward. So, I forget earlier, somebody said that he's a keeper. I don't know. He's been okay. He's been solid this year in his role, but I'm not super set on him being on this team going forward.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a good pickup, and he's definitely done his job and earned or proven that he belongs in the NBA. It's just going to be tough. Like, we've broken down several times. We can't pay him anything more than the minimum without using part of the mid-level or cap space or whatever we choose to do. And if we're trying to maximize those things as much as possible, it's going to be hard to sign lower-level players. So, yeah, it's tough. And then, yeah, like you mentioned, how many minutes would he get or whatever. But, I mean, I wouldn't mind having a shooter off the bench. It's always good. A good thing to have. Doesn't necessarily have to play like he was earlier in the season. But, yeah, as someone mentioned in chat, imagine Dame getting these kick-out passes instead of McLemore.
I know, that would be ideal.
But Dame can't handle that. He's not good enough to play in that situation. So,
yeah, I mean, never mind the fact that he was injured. He doesn't like shooting catch and shoot shots. Never mind the fact that he shot a great percentage on him last year. He can't play off the ball. But yeah, I mean, so I don't really have anything else to say about McLemore. I mean, tonight, 4 for 5 inside the arc tonight. Had a layup off of, like, a save from Winslow. It wasn't a situation where he was really creating his own, but 4 for 5 from inside the arc is pretty rare for him, I guess.
Yeah. He had that one play where Ant threw it ahead to Winslow, and Winslow kind of went too far and got caught under the basket and had to jump out of bounds, and McLemore thankfully was diving to the basket and found him for a lay-in. And then he had a couple of nice curls for some mid-range shots that were nice.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to...
before they get off my screen, did you ever thank Beavis's donation?
No, I have not. I will thank it right now. Beavis, $2 dono. Thank you, Beavis. Says, team sought out the best shot over ISO all night. Yeah, I mean, it is a completely different looking Blazer team, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Thank you for the dono, Beavis. And then Ben Hewitt, $5 Australian dono with no message. Ben, if you meant to leave a message with it, let us know in chat and type it in chat, and we will read it off. Thank you, Ben Hewitt, for the $5 Australian dono.
I tried asking him right after he did it, but I didn't see a response.
Good to see Ben, though. I hadn't seen Ben in a while.
What's up, Benny?
Let's move on to reverse no-scope 360. That reverse lay-in by Greg Brown tonight. Eric was very ugly. He had a missed dunk as well on a pass that was like behind him. That I'm not even sure Greg Brown minded that the pass was way behind him, because it was almost a chance for him to pull off a wicked highlight dunk.
That pass was so bad.
Dude, I wonder if Josh Hart was like, screw it, I'm going to throw it behind him to see if he can dunk.
I think he kind of lost the ball when he threw it, but yeah.
Yeah. So 1 for 4 from the field. He knocked down both his free throws, though. Had 2 steals and a block.
6 fouls.
Yeah, he's just... Dude, I don't even... He just looks like a big guy with athleticism that doesn't know... That's just, like, not in control of... I think there was a play, it wasn't a turnover or anything, but he, like, tried to dribble the ball and drove and just lost it. Okay, here's the conversation I want to have. It's a negative one, I guess, but...
Oh, look at Torrey being negative again.
I love his athleticism and his defense and all that. The one thing I question with him, actually, this might be kind of mean, but is his coordination.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's coordination. It's like, I think he just doesn't know how to, like, he's too quick for his skills, if that makes sense.
It could be that, yeah.
Like he's dribbling and you can tell he's on a fast break and you know something bad's about to happen because he doesn't have the handles quite yet but like he's almost like ahead of the ball. Like his mind's like 3 steps ahead of what he's gonna do, and then it doesn't catch up with him. So I think that just some players just take time. But in his defense, it does look a lot better on the court than it did 40 games ago, like when he had to come in at times and then got him almost immediately taken out. So I have seen some improvement on both ends in terms of just learning the offense and being in the right spots and cutting and stuff like that. So I don't think he had that. Thanks for reminding me, Best. He had that awesome block as well.
Yeah, I mean, he has the athleticism. Yeah, he might be a little bit too athletic for his own good. But, he's young. It'll improve. It's just, the dude's just kind of wild right now. Yeah. And that could be due to a number of different things other than that. But I do question, maybe if it's a little bit of a lack of coordination. Because that's the thing with big men, too, is they're more prone to being a little bit more uncoordinated than guards.
And, we knew he was going to be a project when he was drafted. We didn't envision him playing. I mean, we kind of thought maybe he could play some spot minutes as like a defensive type stopper, but no one imagined him playing like an actual role on a team this year. So I think I just like that he's getting better, and I think having Chauncey around will help him a lot. So I'm excited that he's improving, because if he was playing 16 minutes and he just still looked completely lost out there like he was earlier in the season, then I would be a little worried about what you're saying. But I think he's showing that he's working hard and stuff, and he's actually learning the game. So hopefully those things will come around once he gets more comfortable and the game slows down. Yeah,
I'm not even saying that he is uncoordinated. I'm just saying he looks uncoordinated, and that could be due to a number of reasons. So, honestly, maybe after the All-Star break, every player card, I'll be like, I like Greg Brown. He's a good basketball player. That should be in my analysis going forward, huh, Eric?
Sure.
Chat, would you like that better? I see all a bunch of Tory Doghouse should be a spin-off show. I mean, I could sit here and say Greg Brown, he dunks and it's cool, and seems like a good kid, and he seems like a great guy, and he should be in the dunk contest. Which he should. That part's a fact. I feel like, honestly, if he was in the dunk contest, would he have been your dunk contest pick? Winner?
Yeah, probably.
It would have been interesting. Yeah. Would have been intriguing. I wish he was. Anyway.
There would have been several Blazers that I probably would have given a chance to win.
Yeah. Could get, Dennis Smith Jr., if he was healthy, could get him jumping over J. Cole again. Maybe he should go a little bit taller, and dunk over Snoop Dogg or something. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on to Trendon Clamps. Draymond is still back there, and this graphic is becoming illegible at this point. We made the joke about how he should add something to this graphic every single game, and now I am questioning that we said that, Eric. What did we think was gonna happen?
I can't tell. Did Jaren Jackson get added to this? Because he
is guys. Do you spot Jaren Jackson? I see, dude. Giannis is in there because he was scared to play against Trendon. See if you can spot Jaren Jackson Jr.
That is not a good spot to have the emoji.
Where? What?
Nothing.
I don't understand. I don't.
Nothing.
Eric's tripping, guys.
I don't think I'm tripping.
You're tripping. Okay. I'm just gonna say you're tripping, and we're gonna leave it at that. Okay. So
he's above Aaron Gordon.
Oh yeah, he is in there. Good eye, whoever spot.
Yeah,
he is in there. Yep. Anyway, yeah. So Trendon, Eric, I really like Trendon Watford, aka awesome. Trendon Clamps.
Yeah.
And he had 3 points and made his only shot today. And had 4 rebounds in 15 minutes. He should have played 45 minutes tonight because I really like him. Do you really like him, Eric?
I love him. He's awesome.
He's very awesome. He has drunk-ass looking Draymond in his player card, so he has to be awesome, right? So, Trendon Watford is the best two-way contract in the league and should have been drafted in the top 5 last year, and dude's the next Draymond.
All right, don't do that.
Don't do what?
You know what you're doing.
Well, I just want to... Okay, I'm testing chat. I want to see if they like this better. All right? Because I'm a man of the people.
Well,
right?
Were you going to say something negative? You chose to do it on someone you're not negative on, though.
Oh, so I should have waited for... Oh, if only Tony Snell was still here, dude. I would hype Tony Snell up, man. All this actually sounds close to what I would actually say about Trendon, because he should have been probably a first-round pick, in my opinion. See, I was going to say he should have been a first-round pick, then I was like, wait, no, I actually believe that. So that doesn't really work on this slide. Anyway, I don't know. Everything we say about Trendon is like he doesn't do much offensively, but he just plays the right way. And every game is like, how much can you say about a dude that just plays the right way and just does the little things and doesn't score much? There's not too much to say except for I enjoy it, and he's a good player because of it. A good two-way rookie at least.
What's up, Decline? How you doing, man? He says, didn't Watford miss a dunk tonight? He was 1 for 1. So.
Greg Brown the third missed a dunk tonight.
Yeah.
What am I leaning into, Eric?
Nothing.
I'm not leaning at all. I'm sitting straight. I'm leaning back a little bit. So, anyway, you want to move on?
Yeah,
do you want to talk about Trendon? You don't want to talk about Trendon?
Trendon, man. I like Trendon, man. He's got a good all-around game. There's not much we can say that we haven't said already. All
right, Eric, do you want to test me? Because now we're on CJ Ellaby.
What?
We're on CJ Ellaby now. It's going to be a challenge to say good things about CJ Ellaby. But, his hair flopped around real nice today, and he probably has the best hair in the league, and 5 rebounds in 31 minutes. Phenomenal game.
Not cool, Chris. That's not cool. He was not good tonight, of course. Yeah, can't say too much about this game.
Oh God, I just realized. Oh God. Well, then you got to take that emoji away now, Chris. I literally just realized the last slide. All right, get out of here, chat. Anyway, go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, thank you for finally. I couldn't say it out loud, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very glad you didn't say it out loud. But yes, the emojis. I get it. I know, chat.
And that's what you were leading into. It was really bad. But
Oh
anyway.
God, I'm gonna move you. Honestly, no. Keep the graphic. I will swap our webcams for the player cards. Eric can get that.
Okay. Anyways, yeah. I particularly like the play where he ran right into Ant and made him lose the ball. That was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really good defensive play, to be honest. Ant was shook after that. Ant was confused.
Honestly, CJ played pretty good defense tonight, but yeah, unfortunately the offense was not good.
God, I'm waiting for the screenshots after this stream.
He really needs to just start hitting those threes, man. He's getting such good looks, and Ant's making such good passes out to him. If he could just start hitting some of those.
Dude, he just pulls it from, like, the other side of his body.
Yeah.
He shoots it with so much lateral... There's so much lateral movement in his shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was the best defensive possession of the game, though, in my opinion. That was a great steal. Tank Commander, he should have a Tank Commander badge just for that play.
Yeah, for sure.
No, he does have a tank, so he is
the
tank commander. He already has the badge. Yeah, I was thinking the rocket launcher, but that's the opposite.
He's taking over for his BFF Norm.
Yep, his BFF Norm. Let's move on to Elijah Dunkmaster. I don't understand the Dunkmaster reference, but 0 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists in 60 minutes. I mean, he passed the ball a little bit. That's good for him. It didn't feel like he played 60 minutes. It felt like he played like 4 minutes in this game. Thoughts, Eric? Speak.
Much like CJLB had some really nice plays, particularly like some of his defensive plays out there, and then he had a few nice passes as well. And then I think the Trendon Watford basket was off a nice pass, off a drive from Elijah Hughes. So like what he's doing, but much like CJLB, he's just going to have to start hitting some shots to be effective and to earn playing time going forward or a spot on the team next year. So hopefully between one of them, they could start knocking down some threes consistently.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you to Christian, $2 donut says highlight of the game was CJ Levy running into Ant. Oh man, that has to be. I don't think that'll be on Shackton, but that is Shackton-esque for sure. Anyway, yeah, that's Elijah Hughes, and I think that should be our last player card. Yep, that's our last player card. Do you want to just take questions from chat instead of doing a Twitter space? A little bit more streamlined, because I was kind of feeling like doing that instead, because we're already like an hour and 40 minutes in. It was a long game.
Sure.
So I know there was a lot of questions about... It will allow us to answer more questions. There's a lot of questions about like next off season. I feel like before we get into the All-Star break, it would be cool to do... to answer some questions about maybe some of your guys' thoughts heading into the offseason next year, because we haven't really talked about that yet. So...
Did you happen to... you might have missed this story.
What?
So they had an interview, it was a tape thing, of Asia Jones, who's the Blazers' director of strategy or something like that. Basketball strategy. Basically like an assistant GM type person. And she basically had some tampering. So
what?
She basically said that they cleared out some stuff to re-sign Ant and Nurk. So yeah, she made it very clear that they're keeping Ant, and she also made it very clear that the plan is to re-sign Nurkic. So yeah.
See, that's not the type of tampering that would get you docked a second round pick, though. That would just be fine.
No, I know, but it was just funny that...
Yeah.
No, actually, no one cares. No one cares about Nurk, right? So like, they're not even going to notice in league offices, right?
Yeah.
It's not like if he would have said Dame or something. Then if she would have said Dame, we're planning on offering Dame the max extension this summer, right? Then she'd get fined. But like, no one's gonna. Like, no one ever gets fined for tampering for talking about like T.J. McConnell or something. Like, it's always star players. So, uh, like Paul George or Giannis, stuff like that. So, yeah, it was kind of refreshing to just hear her say it. But yeah, they were obviously, since they kept Nurk. I mean, it was pretty obvious that was the plan. But they are definitely going to re-sign him unless something happens.
Yeah.
And they're not letting Ant get away either.
Yeah. They'll give Ant the max if they have to. Shout out Christian, $2 dono says, actually Elijah's dunk attempt was the highlight of the game. So that's where Dunk Master came from. I didn't see his dunk attempt. I missed his dunk attempt.
It was funny.
What did he do?
I don't even really know how to explain it. But...
Yeah, maybe I'll go look at his missed shots after this game. Somebody asked if we're streaming during the All-Star break. Only one stream during the All-Star break, Monday. Blazers Uprise Live, our second channel. Link in the description. We'll go live at 9:30 p.m. Pacific time since there's no games that day to pick from. And we can talk about whatever. We can recap the All-Star break and whatnot. So definitely go subscribe to our second channel. Well, I just posted the link in chat, link in description as well. Anyway, yeah. It's no surprise. Like, that's the thing, is that obviously we're going to try and keep Nurk. That's why we didn't trade him. Obviously we're going to try and keep Ant. So, like, that's not news breaking at all,
Oh, she also is going to get canceled because she said no free agents want to come to Portland, so they got to keep their own guys.
Did she say that?
Basically, yeah.
Well, at least she's realistic.
Or you can't rely on it. Yeah, something like that. But
see,
yeah.
like, okay, I hope she said you can't rely on it. Yeah, you can't rely on that. Shout out Michael Slayton with a $1 donation of a unicorn sticker. Thank you, Michael, for the unicorn sticker. Yeah, you can't rely on free agents to come to Portland. That shouldn't be your plan. A should never be free agent signs in Portland. Okay, you can have that as like, okay, we're gonna give ourselves the option in case a free agent wants to sign in Portland, but that you should never put all your eggs in that basket. Okay, and I don't think there's not. Okay, so this starts to talk about this offseason, Eric. This free agent class is not good. There's some solid players in it, but compared to a normal free agency class, this is a poor free agency class in terms of talent that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, like, everybody talks about the cap space route and signing guys with cap space. What guys are going to make more than $20 million? Because we can sign and trade for a player making $20 million if we stay below the hard cap, which is what, like $153 million, yeah. Right? So we can sign and trade. We can use the CJ McCollum trade player exception, which is $20.8 million, to absorb a player's salary in a sign and trade. So say, like, I don't know, Ricky Rubio's a free agent. We would never sign him for that. But just hypothetically, say we wanted to sign Ricky Rubio for $20 million starting next year for a 4-year contract, and we could sign and trade for him. We could bring him in as a free agent. We'd have to agree to it with the other team, but it would be doable with the traded player exception because we wouldn't have to send any salary back. So if a team is going to lose their free agent, and they know they're going to lose their free agent, and you just offer a couple future seconds, it's like they're going to take the future seconds over losing that player for nothing. And you can agree to, like, trading 2 future seconds and a sign and trade for a sign in, for a free agent making $20.8 million next year or less.
Just got a huge leg cramp. Anyways.
That sucks. I was wondering what was going on there.
So, I mean, you could probably get away with it for a second-round pick or maybe not even a pick at all, like the rights to some foreign dude like the Jake Layman situation, because using your Ricky Rubio example, they would create it wouldn't be the full $20 million, but it would be like a $17 million, whatever he's making this year, trade exception by signing trading him. Because that's what he made last year. So
yeah, there's like BYC base year compensation rules come into play, and that's all confusing.
So they would actually, like, even if they got nothing in return other than maybe cash or something, they'd probably still do it just to create that big trade exception and not lose him for nothing and have that asset moving forward.
Yeah. So that's the thing is, the only way it makes sense to chase cap space is if you're going to go out and trade or sign somebody for more than that $20.8 million TPE. Right? So who out there in free agency should we sign for more than $20.8 million starting next year? Basically, it'd have to be a guy that's like worth the max. Okay? There's only two names. Miles Bridges and DeAndre Ayton. Okay? DeAndre Ayton...
I mean, there's other names with their guards.
Well, like, okay, who are the other... Oh, yeah,
I mean... like Zach LaVine, Bradley Beal...
See, those guys make no sense because they're guards.
Right, I'm just saying. Those...
Yeah. No, I'm agreeing with you, yeah. So those guys make no sense because they're guards. So who makes sense for us? DeAndre Ayton, but he doesn't make sense if we're bringing Nurkic back, and I'd rather just bring Nurkic back for $10 to $15 million a year than pay a max to DeAndre Ayton. I don't think he's twice as good as Nurk. So the only guy that really makes sense in free agency is Miles Bridges, but I think Charlotte's going to match him.
Yep, so you'd be wasting that just to sign him to an offer sheet, yeah.
And we wouldn't have enough cap space to sign him to a max offer sheet if we have Nurkic's cap hold on the books. And Anfernee Simons' cap hold on the books. Right? Mm-hmm. Is my math correct on that?
No, I think we would. Yeah. So I have all. Well, actually, yeah, Nurks we wouldn't. So we probably have to sign Nurk first, and then, yeah, somehow. I need to find this, but yeah, with Nurk and Ant, and assuming we keep Hart too, right?
Yeah.
So in that scenario, if we had, we only have like 10 million in that scenario.
If we keep Dame, Ant, Nurkic, and Hart, we only have 10 mil.
Well, that's with Justice, Nas, Greg Brown, Dede, Keon as well. So I mean, I guess you could cut some of those guys and maybe get up to, but 16, 17 million.
Yeah, but that's less than the TPE.
Right.
It's not getting you to 27 million or a max contract. Mm-hmm. So that's my whole point.
And that doesn't include the first round picks either. So if we had a first round pick or two, that would also cut into that 10 million. So like I said all along, the cap space is a myth.
Yeah, it's like, are you really going to give up like Hart and a first round pick just to sign Bridges to a max? What does that do for you?
And then have them match, and then you don't have Hart.
Yeah, because that's the thing is, whatever contract you give, you have to clear the space to give Miles Bridges the contract, but then Charlotte will have the right to match it, right? And if they say, oh, well, we want to pay him the max, then we want to pay him the contract you're paying him, they keep him because he's a restricted free agent. So the Miles Bridges free agency route makes absolutely no sense. It's a horrible plan because A, I think they'll match. B, even if we got him for the max, we'd have to give up assets, and we'd have no assets left for Dame, Simons, and Bridges, and then a bunch of role players. Maybe Nurkic somehow factors into that if you can resign him cheap enough, and that's your lineup that's going to contend. Like the Bridges route doesn't make sense. What other free agents are out there that make sense to sign for more than $20.8 million? There's none.
I don't think there's any. Yeah.
There's none. So the cap
all of them
space
make sense more in the mid-level exception range, yeah.
Yeah, so the cap space route to sign free agents doesn't make sense. The cap space route for trades, I guess, makes more sense, but we'd still have
the right person be available.
Yeah, the right person would have to be available, and we'd have to get rid of, if we're trading for Siakam, he makes $35 million, and we're trying to use cap space, we have to clear that cap space. We'd have to give up on Nurkic, we'd have to give up on Hart, and we'd maybe have to give up on one of our first-round picks. Mm-hmm. Right? Siakam's good, but I'd rather just try and match his salary. But that's going to be difficult. I'd rather just try and match his salary in a trade, though. You'd have to guarantee Bledsoe's $19 million, and then you'd have to scrounge together another $10 million. I assume Nas would be a part of that trade. Or, Eric, could you hypothetically draft a rookie 10th for Toronto, sign him to a rookie contract, and then 30 days later include him as outgoing salary?
Yeah, 30. As long as you wait the 30 days, that would be
Yeah.
possible. But yeah, I don't know if the. I mean, there's been teams that have agreed to a trade and then waited the 30 days. Um, I don't know, but like the 10th pick is what, like $3 or $4 million at the most. So still
Yeah.
have to find a way.
It'd have to be our
I
highest pick
I still think you're gonna have to include you're gonna have to end up including Hart in that.
in order to get them to accept it, or in order to match
No,
salary.
to like match salary. Like
I mean, you
said,
could do Winslow. Like Winslow plus Bledsoe is 23 million, and then whatever first round pick, and you're at like 26, and then maybe you throw in. I don't know. It's iffy.
Nas. I mean,
Nas.
yeah, that's getting to be a lot.
I mean, I would honestly rather, if we're trying to win next year, I'd rather keep Hart than Nas. Like if we're making a trade for Siakam, I'd rather keep Hart than Nas. Long term, I'd rather have Nas, of course, but I'd rather, like, if we're trying to win next year. Yeah, I mean, it's iffy. But, like, that would be a better lineup next year going about it in that way, trading for Siakam, than it would be if we traded Siakam into cap space. Because we'd be able to keep Nurkic. We'd be able to maybe keep Josh Hart.
The only other way I could think. See, that's why it almost would have been better to absorb a bad contract in one of those trades, because we could use our TPE on someone making 20 million and then wait the 2 months and then combine it with Bledsoe.
Yeah.
But then we're talking like way out in the future. Yeah.
See, the only way I think we trade for Siakam, though, is if our pick ends up in the top 4. And that's the problem with winning games, is our pick's not going to end up in the top 4.
And
Because I don't
almost
think we have a
rather-
good enough asset.
If
maybe
we get
if
the
our-
top 3, I'd almost rather just keep it than trading for Siakam.
Exactly. So it's like, if our pick got up to like 6, maybe the 6th overall pick would work for Toronto, and that rookie would be earning more, so it'd be a little easier to include his salary. Maybe it's like 7 million plus Bledsoe's 19 million. That's 26 million. You're getting close to the 28 million required to match Siakam after the new league year.
That's the problem. Yeah, salary goes up a little bit in the new year. So
Yeah. So it's just tough, but it's a much more it's a better path than cap space, right? Like it's still a better path than cap space.
I mean, I would rather just go for OG in that situation, and
Oh, absolutely.
because he fits into our
Absolutely.
TPE, and then we don't have to worry about matching at all.
Basically, like all this is to say that cap space for trade or free agency doesn't make sense. It's not a path that makes sense for the Blazers.
Unless it's a player that's so good, you can afford losing Hart and 2 lottery picks, because that's basically what it's going to take to give our best offer, and maybe Nas too.
Yeah, like if they didn't want Bledsoe's money back.
Yeah.
But the thing is though is like what player is going to be that good that has any chance of becoming available?
I don't know.
Like Karl Anthony Towns, you know what I mean? Anything would be a major stretch, and I can't think of any target like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. I mean, Anthony Davis maybe.
I mean, with the Lakers though, they're not going to trade Anthony Davis for Bledsoe and Hart and 2 first-round picks, right? They're going to trade him for another star straight up, you know.
Yeah. I don't know what the Lakers are going to do, but I don't think they trade AD, unless they trade LeBron. But like if LeBron becomes available, I don't know. But that's the thing is like anything is such a major long shot that should not be our plan. Cap space should not be our plan. I think being over the cap should be our plan. You get to keep the mid-level exception, which could be $10 million. You get to keep your traded player exceptions. If you use cap space, you lose all your traded player exceptions if you use cap space, and you lose the mid-level exception. You can't use that either. You can use the cap room exception, which is like $5 million in free agency, instead of the mid-level exception, which can be $10 million if they stay under the tax apron. But yeah, if you use cap base, you have to clear it out and get rid of assets, and then you don't get the mid-level exception, and then you don't get to use any of your trade player exceptions. You have to renounce them all. So it just hasn't made sense as a path, but I see so many Blazer fans talking about cap space as a viable path. Like, look how much cap space they have this offseason. They're going to use cap space. They're going to use cap space. It's not a viable plan. It's not what their plan A should be. If something becomes available that justifies it somehow, which is very unlikely, then sure, yeah. But that's unlikely, so it shouldn't be their plan A.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
I'm just reading chat. Have you seen CJ play much, and if so, what are your impressions on him as a Pelican?
I haven't really seen him play. I watched him play like the first quarter he played for the Pelicans. Haven't seen him since then. I've seen that he's been playing well though.
Yeah, he's been playing well. They lost to this Grizzlies team last night, and they lost to the Heat, and they played the Spurs, and I think one other good team. Mm-hmm. So as everyone's saying, oh, look, he's putting up stats and their record sucks, but they've also had a pretty tough schedule.
Yeah. In New Orleans, he's averaging 26 points per game, 7 rebounds, 5.5 assists per game.
Mm-hmm.
And he's shooting 60% from 2, 8 for 13, basically from 2 average for his first 4 games, and he's shooting 33% from 3. So he's just hella efficient from 2. True shooting percentage his 4 games in New Orleans has been 59%. So offensively, he's been really good for them. They're still losing, though.
Andrew asks if our picks aren't in the top 8 or so, would you feel better about dealing them for Jeremy Grant? Nope, I wouldn't feel good about Jeremy Grant in any scenario that we had to give up picks for. Maybe if we traded him for Bledsoe straight up, then I would be fine with it, but I don't like giving up assets for Jeremy Grant.
Yep, he goes directly against the progress the Blazers have made in terms of their style of play, in terms of their energy, in terms of their attitude, in terms of their culture. He goes against that. He would hurt that. It'd be like bringing Norm back, mm-hmm. right? Like, we could have gotten an asset for Norm, so I didn't like the trade that we made, but if it came to bringing him back, I wouldn't want to give up assets to bring him back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he is a 6'3" guard, so he makes even less sense, but it's like, I don't want players like that. But that's the thing is, like, do you see any other forwards becoming available that makes sense this offseason via trade at that level? You said OG Siakam in Toronto. I don't know, go ahead.
I mean, most of the guys, I don't know. It's either they're not attainable or they make less than that trade exception, so it doesn't make sense either way.
Yeah.
Jimbo says, did you hear that Zion needs another surgery? That's the rumor today.
I didn't even see that at all.
Well, it's not official yet, so I don't know.
Yeah.
What he's referring to, but there is some rumors that his foot has not healed and they might have to go back in again, so that'd be bad. Question.
I'm not worried about the Pelicans making the playoffs anymore.
Would you take a risk on Zion? Considering you probably have to give up a lot to get that risk?
I don't know, man.
Like, would you give up our 2 lotto picks for him straight up?
Yeah, because I feel like he has more potential than those 2 lotto picks, and the only thing that's going to get us to a championship is, like, increasing our ceiling and then fulfilling it. So he would increase our ceiling if he could ever get healthy.
That's such a big if, though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, like,
and
there's
like
a lot of
Chris points
downside.
out his work ethic is...
But, like, we almost need a boom or bust move, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Offensively it'd be great because he's one of the most efficient players of all time, but defensively might not be the best fit.
Yeah. That's tough.
Do you want to read off Chris S's thing from last stream that we missed?
Yeah, I'll read off Chris S's thing. Let me find it.
I got it too.
I just need to go into the... Sorry,
we missed it last stream, Chris.
Yeah, Chris S had a member message last stream that we forgot to read off, so I want to read it off. It was his 13th month member message. He says, Who Holiday? What are the chances Ant gets a max? Will Hart be a 40% three-point shooter in the scheme? And how about those Watford crossovers? So, chances Ant gets a max. What do you think, chat? Let me know in chat. And then what do you think, Eric? Chances that Ant gets a max. Thank you, Chris S., for the member message.
A max, I think it's like 20% maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say 30.
Yeah. See, this, like I pointed out earlier, this is what is going to happen in restricted free agency. Every team in the NBA knows our future is Dame and Ant, right? We traded away all the guards to get playing time for Ant to be that centerpiece next to Dame. So what usually happens in restricted free agency is, unless a team wants to be dumb and offer him a max, knowing we're going to match, and then they tie up all their cap space for a couple days, and there's only a handful of teams that'll even have a cap space to put that much. Now they can put provisions in there, maybe like some weird stuff, but overall, there's nothing in there that would be worse than us just signing him to a 5-year max or a 4-year max. We'd have to pay him more than another team signing him. So it's almost better for us if we're going to pay him a max that he signs with another team, because it would be like a 4-year max. But what's going to happen in all likelihood is teams are going to use their cap space elsewhere. No one's going to have enough to offer him a max. So either teams will call about a sign and trade for him, or teams will just realize that we're signing him. And then it'll strictly come down to if Ant and his agent hold out for a max, or if we offer him like 4 years, $100 million, if he signs that or whatever, like how the negotiations go. So it all comes down to that, what the negotiations are. And I think it's just going to be a case of what he's expecting to get, and he'll probably wait until he gets that, because he's played good enough to probably earn whatever he deems he's worth.
Yeah, agreed. And then the other question was Josh Hart, 40% shooter in this scheme. I would not bet on that. If he can be 36%, I'll be happy, honestly.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, there's a little bit of, like, once Dame's back, I don't think he's played with, I mean, he played with LeBron, but that was the year LeBron missed like half the season. So it's hard to know how well he did with that situation. But, you know, having Dame and Ant alongside him, is like, I don't know, he could get close to 40%, maybe have like a career year, but probably like you said, more, you would hope to just get to like 37% or so, and that would be good enough.
Yeah. I mean, career 36.4 this season was 33% getting here, so like 37% is definitely an upgrade. It would be the best that he's shot since his rookie year. He shot like 39%, and then since then it's been like 35% or lower. So yeah. Anyway, give us off-season questions, and we'll go around the NBA in a second. But yeah, we haven't really talked about the off-season, so I wanted to kind of give you guys the opportunity to ask a lot of different off-season questions and kind of explain things with that. That's not an off-season question. Thank you, Zach.
Some people are suggesting Jonathan Isaac in chat.
Nope.
I believe he does fit into our TPE, but I mean, this guy got hurt going on 2 years ago now and hasn't played a game since. That would scare me with Portland to take. I mean, maybe you get him for cheap, but between that and the off-court stuff, I don't know. I don't know if he's the best fit for both this city, this team, for guys who care about racial issues and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know if most teams would be happy trading for a guy like that.
Supposedly Dame and some NBA guys don't like him. for reasons, you know. I mean, I'm not going to get into any of my opinions on any of that, but
it stems back to not kneeling in the bubble for a lot of players.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and whatever, feel however you want to about that, you know, it's not what's important. If the locker room doesn't like him, then you don't want to bring him into the locker room, you know, even if you agree with their reason or not. You don't want him in a locker room that doesn't like him, and that he can't get on the freaking court is what, like, he's been hurt for 2 years or something like that. The dude can't stay healthy, so I would not. I mean, it does have some upside, but I would probably not even look at him at this point.
I mean, yeah, I think you consider it if it's basically second round picks or like something just using the TPE because they want to get rid of him. But short of that, yeah, I think you steer clear of him.
Yep. Sean Dawes says Drew Timmy. What about him, Sean? What about him do you want to know? Hardcore Blazer fan, do we think Dame is recruiting Zion? No. Jarrell Williams, would you trade any for Jaylen Brown? I don't know what any means, but I would look at Jaylen Brown. I don't know if I want to know that he would buy into being a better defensive player and really committing to that end, because he has the physical tools. He just hasn't been as good as he could potentially be in Boston defensively. If he could, then I would definitely look to give up both lottery picks for him and then maybe even Nas in that type of trade.
Yeah, and his contract is slightly lower than a max, so that's the type when you talk about Bledsoe's contract or cap space might be more doable, but yeah. Jaylen Brown isn't a free agent, so we can't offer him a max contract.
Yep. Let's see, what other question? Should they offer Winslow an extension? He's making $4 million next year. There's no way they should extend him like 2 years from now. I don't even know if it's possible. It's just, he's not good enough to justify like giving him an extension that far out.
And we'll have his early bird rights, so we can, after next season, offer him up to the like mid-level exception anyway, so I wouldn't be worried about that.
Yep. How much would you pay Thad Young? See, the thing is that Thad Young is a lot like Justice Winslow in a way, where he can't shoot, but he can pass and he can handle the ball and make the right play and play some defense. I think Justice Winslow's a little better defender, but Thad Young's a little bit bigger. So if Justice Winslow is in a bench role, I wouldn't want Thad Young. If not, if we trade Justice Winslow or something, I would look at Thad Young maybe with the mid-level exception, depending on what else they could get, so $10 million or so. But I would want like a 2-year, $20 million contract with like the second year being a team option. I would try and get that if that was the case.
Yeah. But also, I like Trendon just as much as those guys, so
yep.
I wouldn't mind just letting Trendon have that role over wasting your MLE on a Thad Young.
Would you trade one of our first-round picks for Grant? I love how that was asked right after we just talked about Jeremy Grant.
Yeah.
I don't want to give up assets for Grant. I don't think he'd fit in here.
Taylor Packer asked, let me read it. I hear you guys keep shooting things down. Do you just want to take a shot with the draft pick and that's it? No trades?
I mean, there's guys that we like. They're just not realistically gettable. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, yeah, guys, we can go out there and get Siakam. He's going to be available this summer, and that would be the perfect guy for us. While he would be the perfect guy for us, I'm not going to sit here and make people, you know, I'm not going to sit here and try and be so optimistic that people are like, oh, yeah, we can go out there and get Siakam, and then, like, he doesn't get traded. You know what I mean? I think it would be I don't think OG or Siakam gets traded this summer, so I shoot down those ideas not because I don't like either of those players, just because I just don't think it's realistic, and I feel like there's not a lot of big name forwards that are going to get moved via trade this offseason. I think Jeremy Grant might be the biggest name forward, and that's just a guy that I don't like for various reasons that we listed about 5 minutes ago. So
I mean, if OG became available and they were willing to accept the, you know, say the 10th pick for him or something, you'd absolutely do that, I think.
You do the 10th and the 9th pick if OG becomes available, in my opinion.
and then you have your starting three long term. Um, and then, yeah, but to me, what guys do we talk about getting? Okay, OG, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was drafted a few years ago with what the 20 he was what 21st, I think, 22nd,
Yeah.
somewhere in there. um Mikal Bridges, right? 10th pick. We could have, that's the type of guy. And people will say, well, those are extreme cases. Oh, Kawhi Leonard, 15th pick. Herb Jones last year, 35th pick. Jimmy Butler, 30th pick. Like, those are all guys that contributed relatively quickly. And I can sit here and name, 40 more if you want me to from drafts my whole life. This is why I shoot down so many trades, is because I feel like getting the next one of those guys is better for us, and we would be under the cap and still have all this flexibility to do something if something became available. But we could potentially get guys better than them without having to give up assets or contracts or things like that, like a Josh Hart, or not being able to re-sign a Nurkic because we brought someone in, right? So we could keep Hart, we could re-sign Nurkic, we could pay Ant whatever he wants, still be relatively good cap-wise moving forward, and have two chances at getting those kind of guys. And if you hit on like a Mikal Bridges and he's good moving forward, like, 2 years from now, you have a starting level small forward that's an all defensive type player. So like, you just have to find that player. Like, that's my thing, is you just can't pick the wrong guys. But that plan is absolutely more likely to work out to me than giving up a bunch of stuff and then not being able to re-sign guys because you made a trade. So I'd much rather take a chance on like Atari Eason becoming the next like Patrick Williams or whatever than like giving up all that and then not even be able to re-sign Nurk and Ingles and those kind of guys. So I'd rather just take my chances with the young guys, re-sign Ingles, Nurk, keep Hart, all that kind of stuff. You still have a pretty good lineup. You still have all your TPs to locate guys and find talent that way. You have a bunch of seconds now you can move in trades and stuff. And then at some point you might be able to work out some sort of deal with a future first or something, or some sort of protection to get your picks back tradable from Chicago. And you just move forward like that. And I think that's a much better reason. And people say you can't win with Dame that way, but there's like, you're telling me Herb Jones wouldn't help Dame win this year, like I just don't get that strategy at all, or that the people who say that.
Yep. Other questions? Where were you at here? Ant is better than Jalen Brunson, right? Yes, correct. Let's say we get the 9th and the 10th pick. Would you trade one or both for Jeremy Grant? No. Do you guys think we can get an all-star this summer? I think it's very unlikely unless we get a top 3 pick and that player becomes an all-star in the next couple of years. Drew Timme, 2nd round pick. I'm a Gonzaga fan. I don't want Drew Timme. I don't think his game translates to the NBA.
Yeah.
All right. For everybody that says I'm biased about Chet Holmgren, there you go. I wouldn't even spend like the 58th pick, which we have on Drew Timme, because he hasn't shown that he's capable of shooting. He's undersized, not the quickest laterally, would be a bad defender in the NBA, and he can't shoot. So he'd just be a low post guy, but I feel like he would struggle to do what he does in college against bigger, better NBA big men. So I'm not a fan. I'm a huge fan of Drew Timme as a Gonzaga fan, but in terms of him being an NBA player, I wouldn't really look at him, to be honest. I think he should go back another year and really try and prove that he can knock down threes at the very least, because he's going to need to be able to shoot the 3 in order to stick in the NBA. Let's see. What's an A+ offseason for you guys? Eric, what's the A+ offseason for you?
I mean, like I said, if we were able to get OG, but really, I think it's just hitting on both draft picks, making a really smart mid-level exception signing, and keeping some of our key free agents. And hopefully some sort of thing works out during next season with our trade exceptions.
A+ offseason for me. Our pick becomes top 3. We get Chet, Jabari, or Banchero. And then we trade the other pick, maybe with Nas, maybe not, for OG or Pascal Siakam. Maybe we have to give up a future pick and reword our protections for Chicago. I don't know what that iteration of that trade would look like, but Dame, Simons, OG or Pascal Siakam, a Chet, Jabari, or Bankero, and a Nurkic would be very intriguing. And people might say, "Oh, Siakam's not a 3." I think he can defend the 3, and I think if you have Chet or Jabari next to him, both those guys are really good 3-point shooters, and I think both those guys can also guard some threes in the NBA. They're a little bit weaker, but they can slide their feet, and they have size and they have length. So that would be intriguing. I mean, you've seen the 3 7-footer lineup work in Cleveland with like Mobley and Allen, and they'll start Dean Wade at the 3 sometimes, or Markkanen at the 3. I think that could work with like Pascal Siakam, Bankero, Chet, or Jabari at the 4, and then Nurkic at the 5. So an A+ offseason would be some combination like that for me.
Yeah.
Anyway, why is your mom calling me goofy?
I don't know. Because you are. I don't know.
Interesting. Anyway, would you try to poach Ayton from the Suns? No, not worth it. Would you take a flyer on Rubio? Rubio makes less sense now that we have Josh Hart as our third guard. We don't really need to fill that third guard role.
Yeah.
What about you, Eric?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously, if you get him for cheap, but I'd rather re-sign Ingles, I think, and have his, if we needed a veteran off the bench or whatever.
Yep. Thoughts on Keegan Murray and Johnny Davis? I'll let you answer that one. We haven't talked a lot of drafts.
I mean,
you've paid more attention.
Johnny Davis is my draft crush, so I love him. But who was the other one?
Keegan Murray.
Oh, Keegan Murray. I like Keegan Murray too. I don't know. I don't think Keegan has star upside, but I think he's got a super high floor, and he's going to be a really decent scorer. And I think he'll be better at the NBA level than the college level because of the spacing and playing with a little better players around him and stuff. So yeah, I like him. I just don't know if how's
he defensively though?
He's okay. He's a really smart player. So he's good off ball and stuff. Can hold his own. It's kind of, he reminds me so much of like, not necessarily offensively, although I do see shades of it on offense too, but it's kind of like LaMarcus. So like LaMarcus was fine on defense. He wasn't like an elite defender, but he wasn't like awful either. So I kind of get like LaMarcus, Obi Toppin type vibes from him, somewhere in between those two.
Yeah. So like I think he'll be a solid defender and he'll be able to knock down threes and make basic plays off the dribble. If he was more athletic, he would have legitimate star potential. I think that's kind of limiting.
Because I watched several Iowa games recently, and he does have some sneaky athleticism. Like it's not as bad as I first thought watching him play. Like I thought he was a little more stiff, but that's why I kind of threw an Obi Toppin there, because he does have some moments. Because I loved Obi Toppin that year, and I watched like every Dayton game that was on TV. I just like was a huge fan of Obi, and like I do get some Obi vibes. He does have some of those like alley-oop dunks and stuff. So like I think his athleticism is a little understated, but yeah, it's not like elite level, but I think it's kind of sneaky good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't trust that he'll have like the ball skills, shiftiness, or like the quick enough first step to like really be able to create his own. As a role player, he'll be a role player for sure. So yeah, like high floor, maybe a little bit lower ceiling than some guys around his draft range is a good way to explain him, I think. Go ahead and read off any questions that you like. We'll go do this for a couple more minutes and then we'll go around the NBA and wrap things up.
Joey asks, do they drop the interim GM for Joe this summer? That's probably most likely what's going to happen, yeah.
Agreed. Do we like Trevion Williams? I just don't see how his game really translates super well to the NBA. Maybe he can be a Montrezl Harrell type, but that's kind of his ceiling to me.
Can you put Zach in a timeout for me, please?
Sure. Yes, I will happily put Zach in a timeout for you. Yes.
And while he's in timeout, I'll answer his question. What's the worst player you trade Ant for?
What?
Like honestly, that
Jaylen
question
Brown, maybe.
to me, like I wouldn't trade Ant for most players. I just part of that might be stupid. Part of that's just me. Uh, like I'm loyal to guys who are here and have potential and stuff. So I would, I'm ride or die with Ant. So I mean, sort of like be honest or whatever. Like I'm not really gonna include him in a trade. So yeah, anyone who I would trade him for isn't happening anyway. So probably the answer is no one, and I don't know.
Yep. Is Gary Trent Jr. better than Anfernee Simons right now? Hell no.
Not even close, I don't think.
Um,
I mean, this is not a knock on Gary. He's doing really well in Toronto. I'm happy for him, but
Keegan Murray is Joe Ingles. I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, I haven't watched enough of Keegan Murray, but I haven't once got Joe Ingles vibe from him.
yeah, I mean, he's not Ingles. In addition to being like a lights out 3-point shooter, is like he's like capable of basically running a point forward, and I don't. Keegan's more of a post up type player, so yeah, I don't know.
You guys can't forget the GOAT in my guy Nikola Jovic.
maybe the Ingles comparison is just like someone who doesn't look like they're good but are. Maybe that's what he meant.
Maybe, I guess. I don't know. But, like, Ingles is a role player, too. So, I mean,
yeah,
you know, I think he'll be a role player for sure. And he's one of the safest picks in this draft.
Yeah.
It's just if you're going for upside, probably not your guy.
I mean, if we got 2 picks around 10, I wouldn't mind taking a shot on Jovic.
Yep. I don't know. We've answered a lot of questions. I'm not really seeing many others. Why I'm seeing others. Kofi Cockburn, or however you say his name, is backup center. There's a couple other guys I would hope would fall and that I would take over him.
Kofi to me is maybe a 2-way pickup undrafted, but I would not waste a draft pick on it.
I would hope that Walker Kessler would fall. If Christian Koloko is, I want Christian Koloko is the center I like around the late first.
See, I would. I mean, obviously we have third. Well, the better we do, the worse our second round pick becomes. That's why we maybe should have used it as value.
Yeah.
I
would trade like 39 and like a future, maybe even 2 future seconds to get up to like maybe late first to take Koloko.
Yeah. If we stay where we're at, I kind of like Baji too.
Yeah.
Just
Isn't
in terms
of like raw long term.
Yeah, but like he's one of those guys like that has some intangibles like a Rudy Gobert. That I'm not saying he's going to be Gobert, but like he's got that type of potential to where if you have a pick and he's on the board in that area, I think we take a chance because, dude, he's like 7'1" with a 7'8" wingspan and like a 9'10" standing reach or something like.
Yeah.
And he's got good instincts and stuff. Yeah, super raw. Probably a developmental guy, but like you put him with the Chauncey and just let him go. Like, but yeah, I wouldn't mind Koloko either if he fell or he moved up a little bit to get him.
Here's my question with Koloko: what is stopping him from being the next Clint Capella? At least he's 7'1" with a 7'4" wingspan and a good athlete for his size.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like a 75% free throw shooter. He's 22 on draft day, so he's a little bit older, but like his floor seems extremely high to me.
Mm-hmm.
He can, like, I don't know, if he's a 75% 3-point shooter, then maybe he has enough touch to become a, or did I say 3-point? If he's a 75% free throw shooter, maybe he has enough touch to become a 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
And he has some athleticism. You know what I mean? Like, he seems like a high floor, high upside center with size. And he's mocked to go in the 20s. And honestly, at this point, I don't know. Like, I have to do more research among prospects. But to me, he should be a borderline lottery pick. I don't know. Like, what's the downside with him? Do you know? Like, I don't
I
understand why
think
he
it's just
drinks so much.
production. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
he disappears a lot. Yeah, I don't know.
It's like you ain't drafting him to be a go-to
Yeah,
scorer. You
right.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
So
know, but like when you're talking lottery, you kind of have to be, or like that's what usually goes over that.
yeah, yeah, I
I
guess.
mean, I really like Mark Williams from Duke too, but and
Yeah,
he's in that 20 range.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a good like. This is a deep draft for centers specifically, in my opinion, and then every other position's kind of meh. I would take Koloko before Kessler. Yes.
I don't like Kessler at all.
You don't?
No.
What don't you like about him?
Uh, to me, he seems like a college big, and he's just gonna get dominated in the NBA. I feel like I don't think
Yeah.
his timing on his blocks translates to the NBA. I feel like it's just playing against smaller players and stuff, and
He's the next Jeff Withy.
I don't like a lot of his. I don't know. I just for some reason when I watch because I watched a lot of Auburn because I my first favorite draft crush is Jabari Smith behind
Yeah.
uh, Johnny Davis, but like I just I just he bugs me. I don't know, like he just is always bugging me, even though he's playing well. It's just yeah.
Yeah, his shot mechanics are very questionable. I know he can knock down the occasional three, but I don't know if I trust it in the NBA. And yeah, he's kind of stiff. He's a good shot blocker, but I don't. His pick and roll defense seems suspect. Like in the NBA, I feel like he'd just be putting a lot of pick and rolls and wouldn't be able to have the same defensive impact, and that's really where his value lies. So yeah, I'm not. I kind of agree with that actually.
I mean, like you see, like a Jakob Portal like developing, and I guess that's probably his ceiling, which would be good, like very good. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, late first or whatever, it becomes not as bad. But yeah,
Are we gonna do a live draft show on draft day? Of course. Of course, yeah. We're gonna
yeah.
a special graphics package for that. Go look at last year's. Just search Blazers Uprise draft live stream and look at the graphics that we did last year for it. It's legit.
We talk about every pick, even though it kind of sucked last year with the Blazers not having a pick. At least we traded and got one.
Yeah.
But then we also stick around after the draft to see if there's any two-way signings. And so we got some good news when Trendon Watford signed and stuff. And we were disappointed when Lou Dort signed a couple years ago with OKC instead of with us and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, Arshad, how you doing, man?
What's up, Arshad? It's weird seeing Arshad in chat. This is a first. Well, not a first, but hope your morning's going well, Arshad.
Let's do around the NBA.
Yeah, I'm down. Let's do it. Around the NBA time, I just plugged it in too. The Hawks beat the Magic 130 to 109. They were led by. Let me get ESPN up here on my phone. ESPN's lagging. Maybe I won't read off stats. Oh, here it is. Trae Young, 22 points. He'll be in the three-point contest on All-Star Weekend, and he'll start in the All-Star Game. The Nets come back against the Knicks. The Knicks choke again, Eric.
They're so bad.
The Knicks are horrible. The Nets, do you know how much they were down?
I don't know the exact number, but I was watching it because it picks against the spread, and yeah, it was bad.
The Nets were down 28.
Yikes.
Yeah. So they in the past week
outright.
In the past week they've blown a 23 and a 20.8 point lead. So the Knicks are an absolute mess. Julius Randle had a good game for them, 31 points and 10 rebounds, just not much production from anyone else. For the Nets, Cam Thomas had 21 off the bench. The Pacers beat the Wizards 113 to 108. So that's a team in the tank race that Portland could have gained a game on today if they had lost, but they won. The Pacers got 21 from Tyrese Halliburton, the former King, and then who in the world is Terry Taylor? Do you know who Terry Taylor is? I've seen his name a couple times, but I'm not familiar with him at all. And he was 9 for 11 from the field today, 18 points. Eric.
He's a rookie. I know that.
Yeah. Tristan Thompson today, 8 for 9 from the field, 17 points, and then he got bought out right after. And I guess he's going to, what, Chicago? Was that the report?
Chicago might be, but I also heard possibly Lakers.
He wants to play with LeBron, even though they suck. The Wizards were led by KCP, 27 points. Kuzma had 26, but on 9 for 27 from the field. He got 27 shots up, my goodness. The Pistons upset the Boston Celtics, 112-111. Jeremy Grant, 24 points on 8 for 13 shooting. Cade Cunningham had 20. Jason Tatum missed a game winner. Jaylen Brown had 31 points in this one. The Blazers beat the Grizzlies. A shocking upset. The Grizzlies were favored by 11.5 points, and the Blazers win outright in Memphis. The Spurs beat the Thunder by 8. The spread was 8 for the Spurs, right? So that's a push.
No double downs on that, so thankfully we don't have to worry about that.
They almost choked that spread win.
Another big lead that was almost blown.
But that's another team that Portland could have gained a game on in the tank race, and they did not.
Well, at least we didn't lose any ground, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true, but we're gonna have to start losing at some point, and honestly, we might win 20 games in a row at this point with how easy our schedule is later in the season. I'm kidding, but it's gonna be hard to catch up. For the Thunder, 24 from Trey Mann, who's played really well, the rookie out of Florida. You got the Raptors beating the Timberwolves 103-91. Gary Trent Jr. had 30 points in this one, but on 10 for 24 from the field, Eric. So not efficient.
Mm-hmm.
17 for Siakam, and then 24 for Karl-Anthony Towns. He'll be in the three-point contest and in the All-Star game. The Bulls beat the Kings 125-118.
Spread by 1 point.
Yeah, lots of close games with the spread, Eric. The Bulls were led by 38 points from DeMar DeRozan, another game in which he has more than 35 points on 50% shooting. I think it's 7 games in a row, 6 or 7 games in a row, and he's the first person in NBA history to do that. String of games with more than 35 points and 50% shooting. He's been phenomenal. In the loss, 33 for De'Aaron Fox. The Suns barely beat the Houston Rockets. They were favored by 16.5 points, and it looked like they were going to lose this game for the majority of this one, but they came back and won. Chris Paul got hurt. He's going to have an MRI on his hand, so hopefully he's not out. And if he is, hopefully he's able to make it back in time for the playoffs, because the Suns are 48-10, so they have a bit of a cushion. We'll look at the standings in a second. They're just going to need Chris Paul in the playoffs. 24 for Devin Booker, 7 for 22 shooting for him. Schroeder, the new Houston Rocket, had 23 points and 9 assists for them. The Nuggets came back against the Warriors and won 117-116. The Nuggets put up 39 points in the fourth quarter, and they were led by 35 points, 17 rebounds, 8 assists for Jokic. That's video game numbers. Brendan Forbes, 22 off the bench. The Warriors have been struggling. They had 25 from Stephen Curry, 10 for 19 from the field. Klay Thompson, though, 5 for 15, 16 points. He struggles once again. He's struggled the past couple of games. The Warriors are kind of limping into the All-Star break. And then the Lakers, Eric, No, they didn't gain a game on Portland, but they maintained ground with Portland. They came back late in this one, outscoring the Jazz by 13 in the fourth quarter. LeBron had 33 as the Lakers get the win. Here's the Western Conference standings. I don't even want to do a tankathon sim because it's a situation where I'm kind of in terms of wanting a tank, it's kind of depressing. But chat, do you want a tankathon sim? Eric, do you want a tankathon sim?
Yes.
Okay, I will do a tankathon sim. Let me pull up the tankathon here. Any thoughts about the standings at all? The Lakers record is not updated because Krish had to go before that game was done.
Yeah, still right in that 10th spot.
Playing position.
Yeah. If the Clippers keep losing, we could potentially be in the first play-in versus the second one, man.
And then I feel like we'd beat Minnesota and get the 7th seed and then play Golden State. Or Memphis. It could be Memphis at this point. I don't know. I don't even know what to say about the standings or the position this team is in because it's just so bonkers this year that I don't even know how to analyze it. Yeah. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to want. I don't know how to talk about it. So that means let's just do a freaking tankathon sim. All right, so Blazers right now are actually tied with New York for ninth. New York has been so bad and Portland has been so good recently that Portland is now tied for ninth and 10th. So their odds went down from like 20% of the top four to 17%. And 4.5% chance of the number one overall pick to 3.7 because of this tie with New York. So the odds got flattened in between ninth and 10th. Pelicans pick is still at 8. They are only a half game behind the Spurs, moving up to 7th. So that would be solid if they didn't move into the top 4.
Yep.
And that's the situation right now. Washington's only 2 games worse than the Blazers, so the Blazers could fall to 11th if they play well coming out of the All-Star break. Anyway, let's simulate the lottery, and let's scroll up as usual. 14th, Charlotte 13th. I don't know who moved up there. Who was 13th? Already got a mover. The Lakers picked to Memphis at 13. Washington's 12th. Portland 11th, Eric. Portland 11th. Knicks 10th. The Blazers at least get the Pelicans pick at 9. Sacramento falls down 2 spots to 8. OKC 3 spots to 7. Houston at 6 and Detroit at 5. So topsy-turvy lottery at 4. You got Atlanta moving up 9 spots. You got Indiana at 3, San Antonio at 2, and Orlando at 1. The 9th and 11th picks, Eric. I don't
take it.
Yeah, I mean, one of those is tradable. If you package those picks, how far do you think you could trade up? Obviously, it depends on the team and whatnot.
Like I said, you're probably only, I mean, at best, you're talking like 4 or 5-ish, and those are probably going to be guards, so I don't know why you would necessarily do that. So, yeah, I don't think that really makes sense.
Maybe to like 6 for an AJ Griffin if they really like him. I could maybe see them doing that. But, yeah, there's no forward targets like 4 or 5 or even 6, because I think 4 through 6 is Sharp, Johnny Davis, and Jaden Ivey. So this would be a weird spot for the Blazers to be in with their picks. It would be interesting to see what they would do. Anyway, that was the Tankathon sim.
So can we be in the play-in at 10 and still be in the lottery? Yes. The 2 teams that lose the play-in games are in the lottery back to whatever record they are.
Yep. Exactly. So let's look at the Eastern Conference standings. Still jam-packed there. Miami fell out of first. Chicago's back in first right now. Miami a half game back. Brooklyn has won 2 in a row after losing like 10 or 11 in a row, whatever it was. So they've finally kind of turned things around there, all the way down in 8th. Charlotte continues to lose. They're in 9th, in danger of falling to 10th as Atlanta slowly tries to whittle their way back into the playoff picture. At 11, Washington's in shambles. They lost to Indiana today, and then New York choked a 28-point lead. So I think you have the 10 teams that will be in the playoffs in the play-in right now, Eric, because I don't think Washington and New York are going to make it.
Yeah. Just how do you not stick around if you're Washington? Well, I guess Washington has injuries, but New York, I mean, there's no excuse for their season this year, and that's just really sad that they're not even in a play-in position.
Yep. Right back to being the New York Knicks, Eric.
And Charlotte has played horrible. I want to say they were like 28 and 23 or 28 and 24.
I know they were 25 and 20.
Yeah, so they were like cruising into that top range into the on the left side, and then all of a sudden they just fell off. So they're lucky that Washington and New York fell off too. Otherwise, they'd be in danger of not making the play-in. But as it stands right now, it looks like those Washington and New York are going to continue to fall, and no one below New York is going to make a run. So, yep, you're pretty much locked into those 10, I think.
Yep, agreed. Let's look at the next 5 games for the Blazers. This is, of course, coming out of the All-Star break. You got some tough games. Golden State, Denver, Phoenix, and then Minnesota twice in Minnesota. The first 3 games will be at home. I mean, the Blazers have shown that they're capable of being competitive. That Phoenix team might be without Chris Paul on March 2nd. The Warriors, we'll see if they have Draymond back after the All-Star break. Do you know if they'll might have him back by then?
He was out indefinitely. I don't know if I think his reevaluation time is right around then, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, so we'll see if Golden State struggled without Draymond, and then Phoenix might not have Chris Paul, and they're at 48 and 10, so who knows how motivated they're going to be. And then, yeah, I mean, this is a tough schedule, but I could easily see the Blazers going 3-2 given how they've played
Well,
lately. Shoot, I could see them going 5-0 how they've played lately.
Well, we played Minnesota twice, and I learned last year that it's hard to beat the same team twice in a row. So
1-1.
That is a 1-1 there, and then just whatever we do in the other games. So.
Yeah, it was hard for us to beat the same team twice in a row, no matter how bad they were. But then when teams did it to us,
no, I did not have that explained to me that way. I was told it's hard to beat the same team twice, no matter.
Oh yeah. No, they ignored when we got beat twice in a row.
Yeah,
to the same team,
didn't apply then. But.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the
Let's
next.
go 5-0.
7th
seed.
4-1 would be 5-0.
We're gonna make up 2 games on Minnesota in this, and
we'll see coming out of this All-Star break, man. But it's honestly so Golden State, then 2 days off, Denver, then 2 days off, then Phoenix, then 2 days off. So the games are kind of spaced out after this All-Star break. Between now and March 4th, there's only 3 streams, and March 4th is what? Like 16 days from now, so only 3 post-game shows in the next 16 games.
3 games in 16 days. That's crazy.
Yeah, 3 games in 16 days. So we'll have that's the next 5 games. We will have an episode of Blazers Uprise live on Monday at 9:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That'll be on the second channel, link in the description box below. Make sure you go subscribe. We're almost at 2,000 over there. It's kind of our second smaller channel that we stream Mondays and Thursdays. We're not streaming this Thursday. We streamed today because it was the last day before the break. So definitely go check us out over there. And anything else you want to say for the stream, Eric, before we head into like 4 days off with no streams?
Yeah, just thank everyone for watching, and I hope you guys all have a good All-Star weekend or break from basketball if you choose to do that. Mm-hmm. And I hope to see everyone Monday night, and then back for the last part of the season. Should be whether we're winning or losing, either way it should be exciting for us because there's silver linings in anything that happens, and all kinds of possibilities. So hope to see you all in streams later on.
Yep, there's some storylines to look forward to seeing how they're going to play out, and we'll have you covered with those after the All-Star break. Hopefully you can join us on Monday to break up this hiatus, but if not, hopefully you enjoy the break, and hopefully life is good for you. Until whenever we catch you next, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.